Would you like to reset the entire world? Welcome to the survival game. Round 1, Ghost Dormitory. Humans seized the world from nature through violence, and selfish individuals have hoarded public resources for 5,000 years. Now violence has brought humanity to the brink of extinction. This is your final chance. Those who clear the game may build a new order. Status, authority, wealth, companionship. Those at the bottom may rise to power, the poor may grow prosperous, the oppressed may stand tall, social hierarchies may be reshuffled. But there is one prerequisite: you must stay alive. Death within the game equals real death. You only have one life. In this broken world, death might even be a relief. Good luck to you, chosen lucky ones. Game countdown: 5 minutes. Jiang Mei jolted awake to find herself standing in a long corridor. Held tight in her arms was a plump tabby cat, her son, Xiaoqi. She had been reading novels just moments ago, scrolling through multiple dormitory survival stories, yet every single one revolved around a male lead building close bonds with countless female characters amid life or death terror. Jiang Mei could never wrap her head around why forming romantic connections was the core highlight woven through every chapter when survival hung by a thread. After suffering through dozens of poorly written plots focused on that trope, she resolved to write her own dormitory survival story that catered to her tastes. But the second she typed her first word, Xiaoqi leaped onto her desk. The cat knocked over her milk tea. A jolt of electricity shot through her body, and the next thing she knew, she was here. The good news: she'd transmigrated. The bad news: she'd landed inside a death game. No way. I only enjoy reading survival stories, not living through them myself. Jiang Mei screamed internally, yet she dared not make a sound, terrified of drawing the attention of terrifying entities. A glowing virtual screen hovered before her, displaying the countdown. Beneath the blood-red timer, a line of golden small text glinted. Players who fail to bind a dorm room once the game starts will be slain by supernatural entities. Jiang Mei's heart skipped a beat. As a lifelong novel fan, she quickly snapped out of her fear and hurried forward, clutching her cat tightly. The corridor stretched endlessly, with an old yellowed elevator at its far end. Jiang Mei swallowed hard and pressed the upward button. Squeak. The elevator doors creaked open, and a wave of moldy, putrid stench washed over her. Jiang Mei wrinkled her nose in disgust, while the chubby cat in her arms slept soundly without a stir. Ignoring the prickling dread crawling up her spine, she stepped inside. The elevator served 33 floors total, and instinctively, she pressed the button for her home floor, the 13th. 13 was considered an unlucky number in Western culture, but she wasn't from the West, so it meant nothing to her. The elevator shot upward like a free-fall ride, nearly sending Jiang Mei tumbling to the floor. Only her stiff stance kept her upright. Ding! The doors slid open, and Jiang Mei darted out at once, fearing the elevator doors would clamp her in half if she hesitated a second longer. Another dim, lengthy corridor unfolded before her. This time, rows of rooms lined both sides, all fitted with tattered, aged wooden doors marked with room numbers. Jiang Mei's mind flashed back to the cold mechanical voice she'd heard before waking. Ghost Dormitory? Was this the Ghost Dormitory game she knew? Start with just a bed, earn resources to upgrade everything by resting. No time to overthink. I need to find a room first. She pushed open the nearest door. The space was tiny, barely 4 square meters, furnished with nothing but a narrow single bed. Jiang Mei dismissed it immediately. She moved on to the next door. Sure enough, each room had a unique layout. This one spanned roughly 20 square meters, yet it still held only a single bed. Jiang Mei decided to keep searching. In Ghost Dormitory-style games, certain rooms spawn rare supplies. She had no guarantee this world would follow the same rules, but time remained, so she could afford to look further. Jiang Mei sprinted down the hall, gasping for breath. The heavy cat weighed her down, slowing her pace as she checked each door one after another. After yanking open more than a dozen doors, she settled on the largest room she'd found so far, around 50 square meters in size. She hadn't spotted any supplies inside. The countdown was simply ticking down too fast to waste more time. Strangely, no other players roamed the corridor besides her, yet many doors were locked tight, impossible to pry open. Jiang Mei wondered if other players had already claimed those rooms, or if they were permanently sealed off by the game. The instant she stepped across the threshold, the mechanical voice echoed once more. Player 56378942, do you wish to bind room 1314, Unit 2, Building 5? Yes. Jiang Mei swore she was far from obsessed with romance. She'd only picked this room out of sheer coincidence. Binding successful. Player ID 56378942. Nickname: Unset permanent once confirmed, cannot be changed. Gender: female. Age: 21. Vitality: 68 out of 100. Staying up late is a common human flaw. Vitality can be restored through sleep. Jiang Mei shut the door and threw herself onto the room's only piece of furniture, a dusty, worn wooden single bed. She followed the game's unspoken advice without hesitation. Ignoring the grime coating the wood, she recalled that beds in Ghost Dormitory generated nightmare coins. Sure enough, a tiny floating screen flickered to her side, showing a resource generation counter, 1 nightmare coin per hour. The rate was painfully slow. The cat continued to slumber, so Jiang Mei carefully set it down beside her and turned to examine her full status panel. Stamina: 2. Huff and puff more than a dog after a short walk. Constitution: 2. Don't roll over in bed, you might strain your waist. Intelligence: 22. All your physical energy has gone to fuel your brain. Fascinating. Agility: 2. Are you a sloth disguised as a human? Strength: 2. You can barely lift a full bowl of rice without struggling. Luck: 2. Step in misfortune every time you step outside. Overall combat rating: Grade B. Don't get excited, this is the lowest tier. Nightmare coins: 10 starting funds. Jiang Mei stared at her stats, momentarily speechless. She admitted she was a homebody who spent every day reading novels and playing games with zero exercise. But surely her attributes couldn't be this abysmal? Every physical stat sat fixed at 2, making her suspect the system had deliberately stacked the odds against her. Even worse, the game's snarky descriptions mocked her relentlessly. No game developer back in the human world would dare speak to players this rudely. As for the human world's promise of resetting society, Jiang Mei couldn't care less. All she wanted was to survive alongside her beloved cat Xiaoqi. She tilted her head to gaze at the sleeping kitten. Dim ceiling light spilled over its fluffy fur, revealing a line of glowing golden text identical to the writing beneath the earlier countdown timer. Jiang Mei blinked, convinced her eyes were playing tricks, but when she focused, the words remained clear: bug product. Do not let the creator god discover it. A chill ran down Jiang Mei's spine, and she instinctively pulled the cat into a tight embrace. Pets were not supposed to be brought into this game, it seemed. She'd assumed she'd stumbled into a special variant of the survival game, only to learn her cat existed purely as an unplanned glitch. What exactly was the creator god? How could she hide Xiaoqi from its sight? Jiang Mei's mind raced, brainstorming every possible solution. At that moment, the eerie mechanical voice boomed again. Countdown complete. Round 1 survival game officially begins. Survive within the dormitory building for 10 days. All survivors will advance to the next round. Your bound dorm room door is the only barrier capable of repelling supernatural entities. Do everything you can to upgrade it. Players who failed to bind a room will be teleported to dormitory corridors. Low-tier supernatural creatures will spawn randomly throughout the halls. Do not attempt to fight supernatural beings with mortal bodies. Securing a dorm room is your last chance to live. The creator god will select 10 chosen ones and grant them unique special abilities. Strive to earn its favor. Friendly reminder: rooms with distinctive numbers carry greater luck. Good luck to you all. The mechanical voice faded, and another blood-stained countdown screen materialized before her eyes. The gruesome text showed 10 minutes remaining. Jiang Mei guessed this final window gave stragglers one last chance to claim a dorm room. A sudden hubbub erupted outside the door, as if dozens of people had materialized out of thin air. Their voices brimmed with rage and terror. What is this terrifying place? Let me out. This prank has gone too far. If I find whoever dragged me here, I'll make them pay once I escape. That voice told us to pick rooms, but this whole building looks like a haunted house. Is it safe to step inside one? Who's hiding behind this trickery? Come out now and stop pretending. Jiang Mei listened closely, realizing none of these people grasped the gravity of their predicament. It stood to reason, anyone quick-witted enough had already bound a room during the first countdown. Even with this second grace period, these stragglers stubbornly refused to accept reality. Her thoughts were cut short when the doorknob of room 1314 began twisting back and forth. Creak, creak, the flimsy wooden frame sounded ready to splinter. Weird, this one won't open. Is someone inside? A woman's voice echoed from the hallway. Damn it, only 1313 and 1314 on the 13th floor have unique numbers, and both are taken, a man complained. Let's hurry to find another room, or we'll run out of time. The woman's footsteps faded, but the man lingered outside the door. After a moment's hesitation, he drove his boot hard against the wooden frame. Bang! The entire room shook violently, dust and splinters showering down from the ceiling. Luckily, the worn door held fast against the blow. But the man outside refused to back down, launching a second powerful kick immediately after. Jiang Mei scrambled off the bed, her heart hammering against her ribs. She could not sit by and let him break through. The door was meant to block supernatural entities, but she had no idea if it could withstand human intruders. Even if it held, enduring endless assault from this man would leave her trapped and helpless. Jiang Mei scanned the empty room. Aside from the single bed, there was nothing to use as a weapon. Her physical stats were pitifully low. How could she defend herself against the man outside? She pulled up her virtual status panel to scan every option. Beside her personal stats sat a public chat channel, but she had no time. Next to the chat tab was a shop icon, which she clicked open without delay. The shop stocked a vast array of goods split into 5 categories: weapons, armor, food, medical supplies, and daily essentials. Unfortunately, Jiang Mei only held 10 starting nightmare coins, so barely any items were available for purchase. She tapped the weapons tab, revealing 2 purchasable goods. The first was a low-tier turret, the second a rusted cleaver. A rusted blade, physical lacerations plus infection risk, double damage. Jiang Mei's eyes lit up. She was about to spend all 10 coins on the weapon when doubt halted her hand. Wait a minute. Turrets are designed to fend off supernatural monsters in the game, but will they work on humans? A blade can harm people, yet I have no clue if it can wound supernatural entities. If I waste my coins on a cleaver, I'll be defenseless when the ghosts come out at night. Bang! Another kick slammed into the door, rattling the lock loose in its frame. Jiang Mei stood pressed against the inner side of the door, her skull throbbing from the impact. This brute won't stop harassing me. She made up her mind instantly and purchased the rusted cleaver. A flash of light materialized a heavy kitchen blade in her grasp, weighing roughly 3 to 4 jin, comparable to the dumbbells she barely used at home, just light enough for her to swing. Its surface was caked in thick rust, with dark crimson stains clinging to the metal edge. Jiang Mei tightened her grip on the hilt, then threw the door wide open without warning, raising the cleaver high and swinging it forward. Her agility stat was terrible, but the man stood mere inches away, caught completely off guard with no time to dodge. The blade struck cleanly between his neck and collarbone, and bright red blood spurted across the hallway floor. The man let out a shrill scream, clutching his bleeding neck as he stumbled backward and collapsed onto the ground. This was Jiang Mei's first time taking a life. She clamped her lips shut, her face blank. Her whole body trembled faintly. The adrenaline surging through her veins triggered the involuntary shakes, impossible to suppress. Still, her mind remained crystal clear. This is a survival game. I have to live. This man cannot be left alive. Jiang Mei stepped forward, staring coldly down at the fallen man as she lifted the cleaver once more. I'm sorry, I'll leave right now, spare my life. I never meant to hurt you. He begged for mercy instantly, genuine terror etched across his face. Blood continued to seep through his fingers. Even if she let him flee, he would likely bleed out before reaching help. But Jiang Mei dared not take the risk. You knew someone was inside this room, yet you tried to break the door down anyway. You had no intention of letting me survive. This death is your own fault. She did not hesitate, bringing the cleaver crashing down into his chest, then slicing fully through his neck with a second blow. The man never stood a chance, drawing his last breath overwhelmed by fear and despair. Jiang Mei stared at the lifeless body and the pool of blood spreading across the floor, her mind going blank for a split second. She had truly killed someone. Before she could process what she'd done, the clink of dragging chains echoed from the far end of the corridor. Something heavy was shuffling toward her room. Jiang Mei glanced up to spot a figure draped in red fabric approaching step by step, its long black hair covering its entire face like a tattered shroud. She did not need a closer look to know this was no human being. A supernatural entity. Jiang Mei spun back into her room and slammed the door shut tight. The system voice had warned her monsters would spawn randomly in the hallways. And now one stood right outside her door. But a bitter thought crossed her mind as she stared at the cleaver in her hand, then the fragile wooden door. Without a turret, How could she defend herself against a ghost? Thud, thud, thud. The dragging footsteps halted directly outside room 1314. Jiang Mei's heart shot into her throat, white-knuckling the cleaver. If the monster broke through the door, she would fight it with everything she had, even if the blade could not harm it. Yet the expected sound of clawed nails scraping against wood never came. She could feel the entity lingering right outside, but it made no attempt to breach the room. Seconds later, wet, crunching chewing noises drifted through the door cracks. Jiang Mei's face paled. It was eating the corpse out in the hallway. She stumbled backwards several paces, never taking her eyes off the door, alert for any sign of intrusion. After roughly a minute, the creature finished its meal. It did not linger outside, dragging its chains away down the corridor. It seems low-tier supernatural entities will not attack players inside bound rooms for now, Jiang Mei reasoned to herself, releasing a long breath of relief. She set the cleaver down and sank onto the floor. Only now did the adrenaline fade, leaving her limbs weak and numb, a wave of panic and remorse washing over her. Congratulations, player 56378942, you have achieved the server's first kill. Reward, 10 attribute points and the unique title Bloodthirsty 1. Would you like to broadcast this event to all players? Broadcasting will grant additional generous rewards. Jiang Mei froze. Why was the first kill reward delayed so long? The system waited until the ghost left to hand it over, as if afraid she would gain extra power to fight supernatural creatures. Despite her internal complaints, she selected yes without hesitation. Please set your player nickname. Too drained to overthink, she typed a casual name at random. Server-wide announcement. Player Xiaoqi's mom has secured the first kill, rewarded with 1 silver treasure chest and 50 nightmare coins. All players are encouraged to strive for survival achievements. Countdown expired. Congratulations to all players who bound a dorm room, you now have a safe haven. All players who failed to secure housing before the deadline have been eliminated. Round 1. Ghost Dormitory. Day 1 daytime phase officially opens. Feel free to venture outside to gather valuable resources and upgrade your dormitory. No supernatural entities will spawn during daylight hours, but remain wary of other human players. Once night falls, only your dorm room door can shield you from monsters. Fight to survive. Lucky ones chosen to reset the world. The announcement faded and a silver, glowing treasure chest materialized in a flash of light. She retrieved the cleaver from the floor before cautiously stepping forward to open the chest, checking for hidden threats. No danger lurked within. Rewards obtained: bread times 10, mineral water times 10, dried meat strips times 10, lumber times 2, stone times 2, iron sheet times 2, hemp rope times 2, low-tier combat uniform times 1, low-tier strength stone times 1. The system provided no inventory storage, so all supplies remained inside the chest. Jiang Mei dragged the chest over beside her bed, planning to rest on the mattress and sort through the loot slowly. Huh? She noticed something odd. She'd left the bed minutes earlier to confront the man outside, which should have paused the nightmare coin generation counter. Yet the timer continued ticking without interruption. Does the bed generate coins even when no one lies on it? A sudden epiphany struck her, and her gaze fell on the cat curled atop the mattress. A bold theory formed in her mind. Could it be? To test her hunch, Jiang Mei lifted the cat off the bed. Instantly, the resource counter froze. She set Xiaoqi back down and sat on the bed herself. The counter resumed. She climbed off and placed only the cat on the mattress. The timer kept running without pause. No way. That's the hidden advantage of Xiaoqi's glitch status. Jiang Mei felt a surge of shock and elation. The game opened daytime exploration windows for players to scavenge resources, meaning everyone else had to leave their beds empty and halt coin production. But with her cat's bug ability, Jiang Mei could generate nightmare coins 24 hours a day, non-stop. She held an overwhelming head start over every other player in the server. Yes, Xiaoqi, Mom loves you. After the rush of excitement faded, a flicker of worry crept into her thoughts. Xiaoqi remained in a deep slumber. Though her vital signs showed no immediate danger, her state was far from normal, and there was no telling when she would wake. Forget it, I need to raise my strength as soon as possible. Jiang Mei quickly shifted her focus to the silver treasure chest. Bread, common consumable mineral water, common drink dried meat. Restores 1 stamina upon consumption lumber/stone/iron sheet/hemp rope. Upgrade materials. Primary combat suit, equipable. Grants plus 2 HP, plus 2 stamina, +2 Constitution Primary Strength Stone. Socket Material Jiang Mei skimmed through the list one by one. All valuable supplies. Food, drink, gear, and crafting materials were all accounted for. The upgrade materials in particular clarified her path of progression. Before being dragged into this game, Jiang Mei had been holed up at home as usual, wearing fluffy cat-themed pajamas. The game world maintained a constant, mild temperature, neither hot nor cold. She stripped off her pajamas, donned the stat-boosting combat suit, then pulled the pajamas back over top. The reason was simple. The combat suit clung tightly to her frame, making her feel self-conscious. She also did not want to come off as overly combat-ready, which would only make other players wary of her. As for the upgrade and socket materials, she had yet to figure out their exact functions. She suspected upgrades were tied to the room's door and bed, yet no upgrade prompts appeared. Beyond the rewards from the system announcement, securing the first blood also granted an extra 10 attribute points. After careful consideration, Jiang Mei allocated 5 points to strength, 3 to constitution, and 2 to luck. She then equipped the newly awarded title from the system. Bloodthirsty Unique, gain a 5 strength boost and 5 critical hit rate after drawing blood. No wonder it bore the name Bloodthirsty, it would prove a powerful advantage in future conflicts. Jiang Mei opened her character status panel. Player ID, 563788942. Nickname, Xiaoqi's mom. Bloodthirsty. Gender, female. Age, 21. HP, 68 + 2/100. More sleep improves physical well-being. Stamina, 2 + 2. Most people huff once walking uphill. You huff twice. Constitution, 5 + 2. A light breeze could knock you over. Intellect, 22. Did all your physical vitality get siphoned into your brain? Intriguing. Agility, 2 is a sloth disguised as a human. Strength, 7 could beat a toddler in a fight. Luck, for high odds of stepping in filth when heading out. Combat rating, grade B. Don't get excited, this is the lowest tier. Nightmare coins, 50. The system's snarky commentary was still present, though far less cutting than it had been at the start. Still reeling from the recent confrontation, Jiang Mei had no urge to venture outside right away. She pulled open the chat channel. Only one group chat window was available, Building 5, Unit 2 Player Group 693 members. Only under 700 people in this building? Jiang Mei mused. She had no idea how many players or apartment buildings existed across the entire server. Right now, communication was limited to players within the same building, yet she had a feeling cross-building chat would unlock eventually. The group of over 600 was bustling with activity, thousands of unread messages stacked up when she opened it. Not wanting to miss vital clues, Jiang Mei resolved to scroll through the entire chat history. 7th floor Zhang Tiantian. The group chat's open now? Anyone here to talk? 9th floor Zhang San. Why does it display our floor number? Isn't that an invasion of player privacy? 1st floor Slender Leech. It's real. This is an actual survival game. I watched a man get devoured by a red-clad wraith with my own eyes. 2nd floor Little Angel Mindjiang. What red-clad wraith? Stop scaring everyone. 1st floor Slender Leech. I'm telling the truth. I thought this whole thing was a prank and skipped claiming a room at first. I got teleported to the first floor, and some unlucky guy had a wraith spawn right beside him. 1st floor Slender Leech. It grabbed him instantly and tore into him. I bolted for the nearest vacant room to bind it as my own. That's the only reason I survived. 11th floor Ching Ching wants candy. I can confirm what he said. I saw the red-clad wraith too. 8th floor Chen Duo. Anyone in a special numbered room? Can you explain what the unique special ability is? 8th floor Wide Open Skies. I'm in room 888. There's no such thing as special abilities. This game's a scam. 8th floor Chen Duo. You're the scammer. There are only 30 rooms on the 8th floor. 9th floor What to do when it rains. Exactly. My floor only has 30 rooms too. Can you even lie properly? 8th floor Wide Open Skies. My bad. I meant room 808. 8th floor Chen Duo. I don't buy that. 6th floor Magic Fairy Kid. Whoa, someone got first blood already? Everyone's moving way too fast. 5th floor I want to go home. Who even is this Xiaoqi's mom? How's she powerful enough to take on a wraith? 4th floor Peaceful Years. I thought humans couldn't stand a chance against wraiths. How did she land the first blood kill? 16th floor Bucket Monk. Is it what I think it is? 11th floor Zhang Yuan Bao. Same thought here. 8th floor Terrible Game. I'm thinking the exact same thing. 3rd floor I know nothing. What secret code are you all speaking in? 14H4 Labubo, you don't think Xiaoqi's mom killed another player for first blood? 11TH4 Zheng Yuan Bao, you hit the nail on the head. 16TH4 Bucket Monk, we know humans can't defeat wraiths, so the victim must have been another player. 13TH4 White Moonlight, could it have been a turret that took down the wraith instead? 19TH4 Tian, what turret are you talking about? 13TH4 White Moonlight, that broom-shaped item from the in-game shop. Wait, has no one here played Ghost Dormitory? Why is no one bringing that up? 31ST4 Luo Hang, I have. But this game feels different. There's no items spawning inside your personal room. 5TH4 leave me alone or else. The bet generates nightmare coins at an agonizingly slow rate. 5TH4 leave me alone or else. Only 1 coin per hour. How are we supposed to afford upgrades? We'll never live past the 10th day at this pace. 1SD4 long live everyone. The system told us to explore the hallways. Maybe we can find supplies or nightmare coins out there. 11TH4 A Yuan. I'm too scared to step foot outside. The halls are terrifying. 8TH4 Chang'an. Treasure chests spawn out in the corridors too. The player who got first blood got one as a reward. 13TH4 player 999. First blood also gives 50 nightmare coins. She's loaded, I'm jealous. 5TH4 Mud King, jealous all you want, would you take another person's life for those coins? 28TH4 Bull Demon King, I absolutely would. 5TH4 Mud King, yeah right, everyone's bold hiding behind a screen. Hardly anyone's capable of killing another living person in reality, most people can't even slaughter a chicken. 2ATH4 Bull Demon King, I truly would. 3RD4 Chocolate, that money's stained with someone's life. At 13TH4 Xiaoqi's mom, doesn't this weigh on your conscience at night? The group chat fell silent for a beat. No one expected someone to directly tag the supposed killer. Whether they were overly confident or simply reckless, the comment left everyone annoyed, Jiang Mei included. But since all messages displayed senders' floor numbers, Jiang Mei decided to offer an explanation to avoid future trouble. 13TH4 Xiaoqi's mom, I ran into a hostile man in the hallway. He tried to seize my room and force me away by dragging me off. I resisted, and his head struck the wall hard enough to knock him unconscious. 13TH4 Xiaoqi's mom, I fled into another room once the wraith appeared, and he got caught and consumed by it. Jiang Mei could never reveal the full truth. There was another witness from earlier that day. If she told everyone exactly what happened, that woman could corroborate the man's aggressive actions and justify Jiang Mei's self-defense. Yet that would expose her exact room number, drastically raising her risk. A small lie was safer. 1ITH4 masked 000. That makes sense. Someone with a nickname like Xiaoqi's mom wouldn't be ruthless enough to kill outright on the first day. 7TH4 Zihan's mom, I believe Xiaoqi's mom. There are far too many reckless, self-serving people even when everyone's fighting to survive. Can't they focus on staying alive instead of harassing others? 17TH4 fights Lubu, preach. I'm already terrified out of my mind, and some guy's still picking fights over rooms. He got what he deserved. 224 pair. Total karma for him. 3RD4 Chocolate at 13TH4 Xiaoqi's mom, is your room a special numbered one? Why did that man target yours specifically? Jiang Mei's expression turned cold. This player was clearly out to pick a fight. 13TH4 Xiaoqi's mom at 3RD4 Chocolate before prying into my room number. Why don't you share yours first? Her explanation was not a sign of weakness, only an attempt to avoid unnecessary conflict. But this person kept pushing her boundaries, and Jiang Mei refused to back down, her tone sharpening. 3RD4 Chocolate, I only wanted to know if you had a special room number. We're all human trying to survive. We ought to share information freely. What's the harm in answering? 13TH4 Xiaoqi's mom, come up to the 13th floor, and I'll tell you privately. 3RD4 Chocolate, the elevators vanished. Just say it in the group chat for everyone to see. 13TH4 Xiaoqi's mom, so you're certain I can't reach your floor, which is why you keep provoking me nonstop. Seeing the two bickering back and forth, several other players stepped in to defuse the tension. 30TH4 Lotus, alright everyone, calm down. Prying into another player's private room info is out of line. Chocolate, drop the subject. 7TH4 Zihan's mom, we should cooperate and exchange useful survival tips instead of arguing among ourselves. To be fair, Chocolate started this unnecessary conflict. 1ATH4 Amitba Buddha, for real. Let me share a new observation. The hallways have completely rearranged. They're no longer straight corridors, they twist into a labyrinth, and I nearly lost my way back. Everyone stay cautious. This news immediately grabbed the group's full attention. The argument was forgotten as players flooded the chat asking for more details about the maze-like corridors. It seemed most people in the group were reasonable after all. Jiang Mei closed the chat window. Rested and ready, she planned to venture out and explore. When she pulled open her door, the hallway looked nothing like it had that morning. The man's corpse was gone without a trace, not a single streak of blood left behind, as if cleaners had erased all evidence. All the rooms directly across and adjacent to hers had vanished, leaving only one door diagonally opposite, room 1313. 3 branching hallways stretched out to her left, right, and rear. Jiang Mei gripped her rusted kitchen knife, eyeing the silent room 1313 warily. There was no sound coming from within, but she could tell another player had bound that room as their own. She gently shut her door and headed down the right-hand corridor. Dim lamplight cast shadows over the winding passageway. Scattered doors lined the walls with inconsistent, random numbers, and Jiang Mei kept a wide berth around every entryway to avoid unexpected encounters. Despite the transformed layout, the hallways remained empty. No players, no hidden supplies, no treasure chests. Jiang Mei assumed everyone on the 13th floor was too disoriented by the game's rules to venture out to scavenge, until she spotted a figure around the next bend. The stranger caught sight of her as well and approached. Jiang Mei tightened her grip on the knife, every nerve on edge. But as the woman drew close, golden text floated above her form, "Most loyal ally." Jiang Mei stared in shock. She'd never expected a feature like this. Her unique eyes could already spot hidden countdown rules and glitches attached to Xiaoqi, and now they could gauge another person's trustworthiness. Though she dared not drop her guard entirely, the glowing line of text softened her hostility toward the approaching stranger. The woman was strikingly pretty, with a high ponytail and sharp, heroic features. Standing roughly 175 centimeters tall, she wore a plain white t-shirt and denim shorts. "Hello, my name's Tang Yu. I'm in room 1301. Jiang Mei froze, unsure how to respond. She had no intention of revealing her real name or room number to a stranger. Tang Yu smiled warmly at her hesitation. "You're Xiaoqi's mom, aren't you?" Jiang Mei's pupils shrank, and she stepped back, ready to defend herself. Tang Yu retreated a pace, her gentle smile unwavering. "Don't panic, I mean no harm. I just put the clues together." She nodded toward the rusted knife clutched in Jiang Mei's hand. New players only start with 10 nightmare coins, enough to buy a single defensive turret at most. Only someone who's earned extra coins, like you after First Blood, could afford a melee weapon like that. It's safe to assume you're the one who got the kill on this floor. "I'd like to form an alliance with you." Tang Yu extended an olive branch. "Everything about this world is unknown, and going solo won't cut it. We can share intel and supplies." Jiang Mei nodded, recognizing Tang Yu's sharp logic. "What information can you offer me?" Tang Yu gestured down the corridor she'd come from. "There's a room marked 1300 over there. It's a supply vault." "A supply vault?" "It's stocked with piles of usable items, free to take with zero risk attached." The claim sounded far too good to be true, and Jiang Mei remained skeptical. "I may have just gotten lucky and avoided triggering a hazard when I went inside," Tang Yu elaborated. "There's a massive stockpile, but each player can only claim 1 item apiece. I grabbed 1 random piece, and the rest locked themselves away so I couldn't swap or take more." "I'll go check it out," Jiang Mei said. Tang Yu smiled. "Let's add each other as friends first. I need to scout the opposite hallway." Her decision not to tag along eased Jiang Mei's tension, and she agreed to send a friend request. "Bloodthirsty? How did you unlock that title?" Tang Yu suddenly asked. "You can see my title?" Jiang Mei's guard flared up again. Tang Yu answered honestly. "I can view your gender, nickname, and the title attached to your name. If you pull up my player profile, you'll see the same basic info, though I don't have any title yet." After a moment's thought, Jiang Mei shared a detail in exchange. "It's a First Blood reward, and it's a unique, one-time title. You might unlock different ones through other achievements." "What buff does it grant?" "It boosts your combat attributes." Tang Yu's eyes lit up with understanding. "Thanks for telling me. Looking forward to cooperating." She waved and strode down the opposite hallway without hesitation, her back turned completely vulnerable to a potential attack from Jiang Mei. Jiang Mei watched her retreat, torn over whether she could truly trust this stranger. The golden label marked Tang Yu as a reliable ally, yet she could not bring herself to fully open up to someone she'd only just met. Better safe than sorry, she muttered, turning her attention back to the path ahead, resolved to seek out room 1300. A faint glimmer caught the corner of her eye before she walked far. The faint glow matched the luminescence surrounding her earlier silver treasure chest. Jiang Mei immediately headed toward the light. The shimmer was faint, only recognizable to her because she knew what to look for. Upon reaching the spot, she found a treasure chest half hidden against the wall, though not a silver chest, but a weathered, beat-up wooden crate glowing with a faint pale light, confirming it was loot rather than discarded trash. Jiang Mei lifted the lid without hesitation. Obtained, bread ×1, mineral water ×1, lumber ×1. Jiang Mei blinked in disbelief at the meager haul. The disparity between this crate and the silver chest was staggering. Still, any supplies were better than nothing. She lifted the wooden chest to carry it onward. The game offered no built-in inventory space for players, yet the chest functioned as portable storage, able to hold far more goods than its small frame suggested. Even with the risk of drawing other players' greedy eyes, she had no intention of abandoning it. She had not encountered a single other soul besides Tang Yu since leaving her room, until she rounded a corner and nearly collided with a group of 7 or 8 young men and women, none appearing older than 40. They spotted Jiang Mei at once. Jiang Mei stood rigid, her expression cold and watchful as she sized the group up. A woman stepped forward from the crowd to greet her. "Hi there, which room are you from? Would you like to join our private mutual aid group?" "A private mutual aid group?" Jiang Mei stepped backward to maintain a safe gap. "Does the system have a function to create custom group chats?" The woman explained, "I opened a rare group chat card from a treasure chest. It can hold up to 20 people total." She glanced at the wooden chest Jiang Mei carried, curiosity clear in her gaze, yet no trace of covetousness. Jiang Mei felt a twinge of frustration. A rare item like the group chat card had spawned for this stranger, while her own chest only dropped basic rations and lumber. Her low luck stat was almost certainly the cause. "So, are you interested in joining us?" the woman asked with a friendly smile. Jiang Mei stared at the woman for a long time. This was an intellectual lady wearing glasses, her long hair curled into soft waves, dressed in a casual suit. Before entering the game, she must have been a high-level manager of some sort. Unfortunately, no golden text popped up above her head. Jiang Mei asked, "What's the requirement to join your group?" She never believed anything came for free. There was definitely an ulterior motive behind this so-called mutual aid group, especially since the woman had specifically stated it could only hold 20 people at maximum. 5 nightmare coins to join. What? Jiang Mei thought the woman was asking for an outrageous price. 5 nightmare coins per person. If she filled all 20 slots, she'd earn 100 coins effortlessly. That was an astronomical sum in the early stages of the game. The woman explained calmly, "My group has a built-in trading function protected by the game's mechanics. I've set 0 transaction fees for all trades, and I won't charge you a single extra coin ever again." Jiang Mei's heart skipped a beat at the mention of trading. The official game system offered no such feature. Even private chat channels were locked against item exchanges, at least for now. Seeing Jiang Mei waver, the woman pressed on, "I reserved 10 spots for players on the 13th floor. The other half is set aside for resource-rich players from other floors I plan to vet. You're the final slot, we can call this fate." Jiang Mei glanced at the few people standing behind her, suspecting she wasn't lying. She finally nodded, yet decided to test her limits. "I don't have any nightmare coins right now. Can I pay on credit?" The woman agreed without hesitation. "Of course. Everyone's poured their coins into buying weapons to defend themselves. Pay me tomorrow at the latest. We can transfer coins freely through private chat." As she spoke, she tapped at empty air to pull up a menu. "What's your in-game name?" "Mother of 7 kids." "Girl, are you messing with me?" The woman pouted, exasperated. "The player who got the first kill can't possibly be short on coins." Jiang Mei kept a straight face. "I need to verify your group actually has all the functions you claimed." The woman sighed and sent a friend request through the official dormitory group. She wasn't worried. She could kick anyone who skipped out on their debt anytime. Jiang Mei knew this full well. "How do I know you won't go back on your word once you've taken my coins?" The woman showed no guilt at all. "I'm not that petty. The value of shared intelligence and supplies far outweighs 5 nightmare coins. I set the entry fee purely to weed out people who only take without giving anything back." Jiang Mei nodded and accepted the friend request. Nickname: Zhuangzhou Mengda. Gender: female. No more information was displayed. Title: Bloodthirsty Slayer. Zhuangzhou Mengda looked surprised. a reward for landing the first player kill. Jiang Mei wished she could remove the title. Every time she added a new contact, they'd bombard her with questions. But the title granted stat bonuses, and swapping it out mid-danger wasn't practical. She'd leave it be for now. Zhuangzhou Mengdai didn't press for details and pulled Jiang Mei into the group chat. She hadn't lied. There were 11 people already in the chat, and Jiang Mei truly was the last of the 10 reserved slots for the 13th floor. Jiang Mei immediately sent a trade request to Zhuangzhou Mengdai within the group. The custom trade note read, 5 nightmare coins for permanent group membership privileges. Once confirmed, the contract would be recognized and enforced by the game system. Zhuangzhou Mengdai smiled awkwardly. For the record, I'll still kick anyone who breaks the group rules later on. But you, I'll make an exception for you. She accepted the trade without delay. All trade records stayed private. Still, don't go breaking the rules either, mother of 7 kids. Naturally. I honestly didn't expect the first kill player to be so young, Zhuangzhou Mengdai said. You look barely grown, are you really a mother? Jiang Mei smiled faintly. Yep, I've got 7 children to look after. Girl, whatever. Zhuangzhou Mengdai shrugged, dropping the line of questioning about her personal life. We're planning to explore the 13th floor together. Are you joining us, or do you intend to travel alone? Jiang Mei thought it over. I know a location that might hold rare items. You're welcome to tag along. She worried room 1300 could be lined with hidden traps. Bringing more people along would lower the risk and the cost of trial and error. Zhuangzhou Mengdia's eyes lit up. Really? Jiang Mei nodded. A tip someone gave me. I'm heading there now, though I can't guarantee we'll get our hands on anything. Great, we'll check it out as a team. Zhuangzhou Mengdai readily agreed. In exchange for your intel, I'll tell you the materials needed to upgrade a bed, 10 planks of wood and 25 nightmare coins. Upgrading a door requires the exact same materials. Jiang Mei blinked in surprise. How do you know that? Have you already upgraded your bed? Not yet. I opened a treasure chest with enough wood and left it beside my bed, which pulled up the upgrade requirements. I just don't have enough nightmare coins. Even with 10 people in her group, she still fell short. Every player started with only 10 coins, most of which were spent on turrets to ward off supernatural entities. That left everyone but Jiang Mei relying on credit to join the group. Jiang Mei stared. You have 10 planks of wood? Zhuangzhou Mengdia's eyes darted as an idea crossed her mind. I've got extra. We can make a trade. Jiang Mei was even more shocked. How do you have so much wood? What she really meant was, how is that even possible? She'd only gotten 2 planks from a silver treasure chest, and basic wooden chests only yielded 1 each. Zhuangzhou Mengdai dodged the question. You've got nightmare coins, I've got spare wood. We both benefit. Fine. 1 nightmare coin for 5 planks. I'll take 10. Girl, I swear I want to argue with you. Zhuangzhou Mengdai glanced at the kitchen knife clutched in Jiang Mei's hand, so it was only a joke. The offer was simply far too low. 1 coin per plank. 3 planks per coin. 2. 3. Final offer. 5 nightmare coins for 12 planks. Zhuangzhou Mengdai gritted her teeth. That's all the extra I have right now, every last piece. Deal. Within minutes, they finalized another trade through the group system. The group chat's most unique feature was its instant item transfer function. Any belongings a player carried or stored in their room could be traded remotely at any time. Transferred items would materialize directly in front of the recipient or be deposited into their coin account. After Jiang Mei sent over 5 nightmare coins, a dozen wooden planks clattered onto the floor before her. She bent to pick them up, only to catch sight of Zhuangzhou Mengdai grinning like a fox. Another trade proposal. 5 nightmare coins, and I'll tell you a steady way to farm wood. Jiang Mei hesitated, then shook her head. I'm nearly out of coins. This group of yours is already a gold mine for you. I'll trade you information instead. What information? Zhuangzhou Mengdai didn't turn her down. You go first. They skipped the group trade system this time, seeing as they stood face to face. Zhuangzhou Mengdai smirked slyly. Take that beat-up wooden crate you're holding and smash it open. It'll drop 10 planks of wood. Jiang Mei narrowed her eyes. Is that true? Cross my heart, if I lie I'll never earn a single coin in this game again. Harsh vow. Jiang Mei smiled too, and her expression sent a sudden uneasy chill through Zhuangzhou Mengdai. Then I'll share a secret about treasure chests with you. What is it? Instead of answering right away, Jiang Mei knelt, set the crate on the ground, and lifted its lid. She stacked the 12 planks neatly inside. The small box easily held all the wood, as if the planks shrank slightly to fit and still had space left for other items. Jiang Mei had originally planned to trade the exact details of room 1300 for intel, but since Zhuangzhou Mengdai had tried to swindle her out of coins, she'd hit back in kind. Treasure chests have internal storage space. That feature alone is worth far more than 10 planks of wood. Zhuangzhou Mengdia's face turned an ugly shade of green, filled with instant regret. Are you kidding me? I smashed both of my treasure chests already. It made sense she'd never noticed the storage function. Beat-up wooden crates only held tiny amounts of loot, so most players wouldn't suspect pocket dimensions. But Jiang Mei had opened a silver chest packed with supplies, yet the box itself was the same size as the crates. She'd figured out the storage mechanic long ago. Jiang Mei had won this round of information warfare. It drove home just how valuable insider knowledge was in this game. Let's move out. If we linger, someone else might grab the items first. Jiang Mei slung the crate over one arm and gripped her kitchen knife tight in the other, marching forward. Zhuangzhou Mengdai trailed behind, still kicking herself over her mistake. The small group waiting ahead spotted them approaching, and several shot them annoyed glares. Women always drag their feet over trivial stuff. The speaker was a burly man in a knit vest, revealing thick, tanned muscles. He was short with thin legs, looking like a compact, stocky brute. Your mother sure rushed things when she had you, tossed you aside and raised the placenta instead. You're dead meat. The man balled his fists and charged forward, but several others grabbed him to hold him back. Calm down. Don't fight among ourselves. Jiang Mei held her knife level to her chest. Though nervous inside, she kept her composure. Killing another player had sharpened her temper, making her far quicker to clash than she'd been before. She saw no fault in it. The man had instigated the conflict first. Her unease stemmed from the fact this brute looked far tougher than the player she'd killed. Zhuangzhou Mengdai stepped in to defuse the tension, clearly offended by his rude comment as well. Enough. Fighting each other solves nothing. The supernatural entities and this twisted game are our real enemies. Besides, Mother of 7 kids has a lead that can lead us to valuable items. Anyone uninterested is free to split off and explore on their own. The group stared in shock, stunned by 2 revelations, the woman's nickname and the news of hidden loot. She's mother of 7 kids? The burly man scanned Jiang Mei from head to toe with blatant doubt. The first kill player? Her. Jiang Mei shot him a disdainful look. Wanna be my second kill? The brute flew into another rage, but the others restrained him faster this time. A man offered Jiang Mei a placating smile. Don't pay him any mind. He's all brawn and no brains, but he doesn't mean harm. Who are you calling empty-headed? The brute's anger shifted to the speaker. I only said you've got plenty of muscle, the man soothed. The brute simmered down again. Jiang Mei raised an eyebrow. A simple-minded fool, it seemed. Mother of 7 kids, you know where to find rare items? This was the only thing anyone cared about. I have a lead, nothing certain. Jiang Mei refused to overpromise. What's the lead? Follow this corridor straight ahead. Jiang Mei led the group down the hallway Tang Yu had taken, constantly checking the room numbers lining the walls. After roughly 15 minutes of winding turns, she spotted room 1301, Tang Yu's living quarters. A short distance past it stood room 1300. No wonder Tang Yu had found the hidden loot first. Room 1300's wooden door looked identical to all the others in the hallway, old and worn. The corridor didn't end here. Another stretch wrapped around the corner beyond the door. When Jiang Mei paused outside room 1300, the burly brute's eyes glinted with greed. He strode forward, trying to shove past her. Jiang Mei had anticipated the move and dodged sideways before his hand made contact. She feigned anger. What do you think you're doing? The brute snickered. I'm looking out for you. What if there's danger inside? Let me check it out first. Jiang Mei was glad he wanted to take point, but she pretended to reach for the doorknob herself. As she moved, the brute cut her off and threw the door open without a second thought. The ancient wood creaked loudly, clouds of dust showering down. Just as Tang Yu had warned, no immediate threat emerged. You gonna stand there or come in? Don't block the doorway if you're too scared. Jiang Mei goaded him. The brute glared back at her, then stepped across the threshold. Seeing he'd entered unharmed, the rest of the group filed in after him. The room was spacious, nearly 100 square meters. The center sat empty, while rows of dense, wooden shelves lined every wall. The shelves were sparsely dotted with tiny broken toys, toy cars, marionettes, porcelain dolls, music boxes, all unique, each no bigger than a palm. Thick dust coated every surface, dull and worn with no trace of glow. Without prior warning of hidden loot, no one would guess these toys held value. Even unaware of their purpose, they radiated an unnatural eeriness. They had to serve some function within the game. The brute's eyes lit up with greed. He rushed one shelf, sweeping every toy into his arms in one broad motion. Jiang Mei lifted an eyebrow. Hadn't Tangyu said only one toy could be taken safely? She stood back silently to watch the outcome. The other players watched the brute loot unharmed and grew greedy too, swarming the shelves to grab toys for themselves. Some even stripped off their jackets to use as sacks to carry more. Only 3 held back: Jiang Mei, Zhuangzhou Mingdai, and a young man in glasses. When Jiang Mei glanced over, they were already watching her. "Aya!" Before Jiang Mei could speak to them, a shrill scream cut through the air, drawing everyone's attention. The brute had stuffed his arms full of toys and rushed for the exit, desperate to return to his room before anyone stole his haul. But the second he stepped over room 1300's threshold, the toys clutched to his chest blazed bright red, hot as smoldering coals. Blisters burst across his palms, and his clothes burned through. He collapsed onto the doorway screaming in agony. Even stranger, the toys tumbled from his arms, floating mid-air glowing crimson before flying back to their original spots on the shelves. The group froze in terror, especially those who'd stuffed their pockets full of toys alongside the brute. Terrified of sharing his fate, they hurled all the toys they'd grabbed to the ground. The unheeded toys lay quietly on the floor, no longer floating back to the shelves. One man rounded on Jiang Mei, his gaze furious. "This is your fault. You tried to get us killed." Jiang Mei gripped her knife tighter and drew a deep breath. "What did you just say?" The man stumbled backward 2 steps, yet continued to accuse her angrily. "You knew these things were dangerous and didn't warn us. You wanted us to get hurt." Jiang Mei felt a bitter laugh bubble up at his absurd logic. She rolled her eyes. "Did I hold a knife to your throat and force you to grab those toys? If you'd told us ahead of time, we never would have touched them," the man argued. Jiang Mei nodded slowly. "All right, I'll tell you the catch now. Each of you owes me 10 nightmare coins, or you'll all suffer the same fate. Pay up quickly." "You," the man felt his intelligence insulted. "Do you take us for fools?" Jiang Mei's expression darkened. "You clearly have a mind to make your own judgments. When you make reckless choices and face consequences, you shift blame to others. How shameless can you be?" She turned to the rest of the players who'd looted the shelves. "I led you all here as a favor to the group leader. I didn't charge a single coin for this lead, treating it as a free service. You're fully responsible for your own reckless choices. I'm not your guardian to coddle every bad decision you make. Don't mistake my politeness for weakness." Her unsparing words jolted the group into remembering this woman had killed another player. Though she'd claimed it was self-defense during the dorm group chat, her sharp attitude and the knife in her hand made it clear the incident hadn't been an accident. Silence fell over the room, broken only by the brute's continuous cries of pain. No one dared speak again. Jiang Mei ignored the short-sighted crowd and turned to Zhuangzhou Mingdai and the quiet young man. "These must be the rare items. Greed gets you nothing. Pick one each and test if it can be carried out safely." With that, she walked toward a nearby shelf to inspect the toys one by one. The once glowing red toys had faded back to dull, dusty gray. Jiang Mei examined every toy closely until a line of golden text suddenly appeared above one of them. "Lucky cat item. Generates 520 nightmare coins per hour. Cannot be upgraded, bound upon acquisition, and non-tradable." Jiang Mei's eyes lit up. She set the kitchen cleaver into the treasure chest and reached out to grab it, yet her hand landed on a carousel music box sitting beside it instead. The second her fingers touched the box, a figure lunged forward and snatched it right out of her grasp. Jiang Mei calmly pulled her hand back, hefted the rusted cleaver, and swung hard. The blade skimmed the man's arm, carving only a thin gash, but the injury still made him hiss in sharp pain. Jiang Mei clicked her tongue. She needed to raise her agility stat next time. She'd aimed to sever his wrist, only leaving a minor flesh wound. Still, a cut from rusted metal would bring him plenty of suffering down the line. She turned to stare at the man who'd stumbled back 2 or 3 meters away, the mild-mannered young scholar who'd stayed quiet this entire time, quietly observing her every move. He'd waited until she'd fixed her attention on the music box to strike without warning. The youth was sharp and patient. Even with his wounded arm, he clutched the music box tightly, a triumphant smirk tugging at his lips. Jiang Mei let out a cold scoff, then reached for the tiny Lucky Cat figurine resting on the wooden shelf and picked it up. She silently thought, bind item. She'd only tested the command on a whim, but it worked instantly. A translucent light screen visible only to her popped up before her eyes. Bind Lucky Cat item? This item is unique and cannot be unbound after confirmation. Jiang Mei glanced around the room. Besides the golden text floating above the Lucky Cat, 2 or 3 other toys also bore faint inscriptions, but none of them promised a steady stream of currency like this figurine. She didn't hesitate and confirmed the bind command. The dust-covered Lucky Cat flickered with a fleeting burst of golden light, gone so fast anyone else would dismiss it as a trick of the eye. A countdown timer materialized atop its head, marking the start of its nightmare coin production. A faint smile tugged at Jiang Mei's mouth as she tossed the Lucky Cat into her treasure chest. Seeing her quiet grin and realizing she made no move to fight him for the music box, the scholar youth's face fell. He'd been duped. You tricked me. Jiang Mei fixed him with an icy stare. How dare you accuse me of that after what you just did? His face turned livid, yet he could do nothing to retaliate against her. Jiang Mei tightened her grip on the cleaver and headed for the door. Before stepping outside, she glanced at Zhuang Mengdai and tossed out a mocking remark. Looks like not a single person in your trade group keeps their word. Who would dare trade with any of them after this? Why don't you refund my coins and I'll leave the group? Zhuang Mengdai looked thoroughly flustered. Calm down, we can sort this out later. Jiang Mei stepped around the fallen shrimp tyrant sprawled on the floor and walked out the door without another word. None of the others tried to block her. They all wanted to see if she could exit the room unharmed. She passed through the doorway without the slightest obstruction, and the toy she'd taken never glowed the warning red that marked stolen goods. She left the room unopposed and never looked back. There was no sense lingering. Nearly everyone inside had turned hostile toward her, and staying any longer would only lead to a group ambush. She had no delusions that a single rusted cleaver could stand against 6 or 7 opponents at once. She continued down the corridor, curious to discover what lay at its far end. Back inside room 1300, the other players pieced together the reason Jiang Mei had escaped unscathed. Each player may only carry 1 item out of this room. Anyone who takes more will be seared by red light at the door, and all stolen items will reset to the shelves. That was their collective conclusion. Shrimp Tyrant, who'd suffered brutal burns earlier, finally recovered enough to stagger to his feet. He grabbed a random toy and bolted for the exit. But the moment his foot crossed the threshold, the toy blazed crimson, scorching his palm and forcing him to drop it instantly. Damn it. Why can't I take anything? I only grabbed 1 toy. Shrimp Tyrant roared in a rage. The rest of the group stared in shock at his failed attempt. Why did 7th Mom get to walk out with hers just fine? What's the trick to taking an item out of here? This is all your fault. Someone rounded on Shrimp Tyrant. If you hadn't picked a fight with her, she would have told us how. Exactly. You brute act without thinking and dragged all of us down. And you. Another person pointed an accusing finger at the scholar youth. You're no better. Why steal the toy she'd set her sights on when there were dozens to pick from? If not for you, we'd all be walking out with loot right now. The scholar's face turned ashen. He wanted to argue, but dared not provoke the entire room's fury. Seeing him back down, the group's shouts of blame grew louder. What do we do now? We can't leave empty-handed after coming all this way. Maybe we just need to pick specific toys to carry out? Who's volunteering to test that theory? You. I came up with the idea. You guys try it. Forget that. I'm not risking getting burned for nothing. The group descended into bickering stalemate until Zhuang Mingdia's eyes flickered. A private message had pinged her screen. 7th Mom, 20 nightmare coins for 1 critical piece of information. Zhuang Mengdai knew exactly what secret she was referencing and replied immediately. Zhuang Mengdai, deal. I'll transfer the coins to you tomorrow. She'd built a small amount of trust with Jiang Mei during their earlier exchange. 7th Mom, valid items to bind, the nutcracker in the 3rd shelf from the bottom on the left wall, the rat figurine on the 2nd layer of the front wall, and the white everlasting flower lying on the floor. Zhuang Mingdia's eyes widened in shock, though she kept her shock hidden behind a neutral expression. Before she could type a reply, another message popped up. 7th Mom, individual item functions cost an extra 10 nightmare coins each, add-on purchase available. Zhuang Mengdai nearly lost her composure. She'd never met someone more shrewd at haggling than herself. Still, after a moment's thought, she sent her response. Zhuang Mengdai, I'll buy the details on the everlasting flower first. Nearly all humans, regardless of gender, judge things first by appearance, and the flower was easily the most attractive of the three options. Seventh Mom, Absolute Barrier, blocks one fatal strike. Zhuang Mengdai, is it a one-time use item? Seventh Mom, reusable, though I don't know its cooldown duration. Zhuang Mengdai, understood. I'll send the 30 nightmare coins tomorrow. Seventh Mom, settling for this one already? Don't you want to compare the others first? Zhuang Mengdai, no need. This ability will be incredibly useful for me. Zhuang Mengdai had a limited stock of nightmare coins and wanted to conserve them where possible. Seventh Mom, the method to safely remove bound items costs an additional 10 nightmare coins. Zhuang Mengdai, come on, can't I get a bundle discount? Seventh Mom, I'm only selling this information to you, but you can resell it to 5 or 6 other players. You'll make back your coins easily. Zhuang Mengdai glanced at the squabbling players filling room 1300 and let out a long sigh. Jiang Mei was right, trust was the foundation of all trade. None of the people here possessed even a shred of it. She gritted her teeth and agreed to purchase the final secret from Jiang Mei. She ran a player trade group bound by game-enforced contracts, so she didn't need to fear being cheated. Jiang Mei had chosen private chat instead of posting in the group, not out of full trust for Zhuang Mengdai, but as a test. If Zhuang Mengdai refused to pay later, Jiang Mei would lose nothing, but she'd get a clear read on her character, a worthwhile gain all the same. Seventh Mom, hold the item and silently recite bind item. Once the bind succeeds, you may exit freely. Zhuang Mengdai, that's all it takes. Seventh Mom, total cost, 40 nightmare coins. Zhuang Mengdai, you're absolutely ruthless. Jiang Mei found a weathered wooden crate tucked behind a fire hydrant. The metal bracket meant to hold a fire axe sat empty. Someone had beaten her to the weapon. She frowned at the missed opportunity, wary of whoever now wielded the axe, unsure if they posed a deadly threat. Treasure chests must spawn randomly, Jiang Mei reasoned. The crate was far from hidden, so whoever took the fire axe would have grabbed the crate too if it had been there earlier. Congratulations! You've obtained bread times 5. Jiang Mei opened the crate and attempted to nest one empty wooden box inside another, only for the system to block the action. She smashed one crate apart instead, collecting wood times 10, then consolidated all her supplies into a single container. She also realized the corridor formed a large circular loop that led back to her personal room, 1314. Multiple side branches split off from the main ring. Anyone wandering down those narrow passages without following the main loop would quickly get lost in the maze-like layout. Jiang Mei clutched her crate and hurried back to room 1314, resolving to upgrade her bed before venturing out to explore further. Sure enough, now that she held enough wood, a system prompt for bed upgrade appeared beside it. Bed level 0, upgrade cost, wood times 10 satisfied, nightmare coins times 25 satisfied. Proceed with upgrade. Jiang Mei tapped yes. Upgrade in progress. A 5-minute countdown timer appeared beneath the prompt. She decided to wait out the upgrade before heading out again. While she waited, she sorted through her inventory. She dumped the lucky cat and all other supplies into her silver treasure chest, then smashed the remaining weathered crate for another stack of wood times 10. Her full inventory was as follows: weapons, rusty cleaver times 1, chests, silver treasure chest times 1 empty, food, bread times 16, mineral water times 11, dried meat times 10, materials, wood times 25, stone times 2, iron sheet times 2, hemp rope times 2, attire, primary combat uniform times 1, inlay materials, primary strength stone times 1, unique items, lucky cat unique bound item, nightmare coins, 15. Jiang Mei laid back on the bed to restore her stamina, opening the game shop and purchasing a turret. Her coin balance dropped to 5 afterward. Dried meat restored stamina rapidly, yet it did not raise her maximum stamina cap, so she chose to save it for emergencies. She twisted open a bottle of mineral water and pulled up the group chat channel. The feed buzzed with constant chatter, making her suspect most players had stayed cooped up in their rooms gossiping instead of scavenging for supplies. Jiang Mei scrolled through pages of messages, finding nothing useful until she spotted Zhuang Mengdai posting a recruitment notice for her trade group, sparking a flood of excited replies. Time slipped by quickly, and the bed finished its upgrade. The hard, rickety wooden frame softened, lined with a thin cushion and a thin, stiff blanket. All cracks and dust vanished, transforming it from a broken cot into a worn but usable bed. No other stat changes appeared. Jiang Mei checked the floating status screen beside the bed. Its passive nightmare coin production had risen from 1 coin per hour to 2 coins per hour. Still a painfully slow rate. No prompt for the next level upgrade popped up. She lacked the required materials. She shifted her gaze to her room door, where another upgrade prompt glowed. Door level 0, upgrade cost. Wood times 10 satisfied, nightmare coins times 25 insufficient. Upgrade unavailable. The door shared identical upgrade costs with the bed. Unfortunately, Jiang Mei had no coins left to spare. She briefly regretted buying wood from Zhuang Mengdai earlier, yet the thought vanished fast once she remembered her lucky cat. In just 1 hour, she'd hold far more currency than anyone else in the building. After resting another 5 minutes, she grabbed her rusted cleaver and headed out once more. Instead of sticking to the main circular corridor, she turned down a winding inner side passage branching diagonally behind her room. This section of the floor was far more complex, sprawling into an intricate labyrinth. Jiang Mei moved slowly and cautiously, keeping her guard up to avoid stumbling across hostile players or supernatural threats around every bend. 30 rooms occupied the 13th floor in total, yet after her initial scouting, she estimated only 20 rooms remained occupied, roughly 20 players total. The game had vastly expanded the floor's spatial layout, and the tangled maze passages made chance encounters rare. 5 minutes of careful walking brought her to a strange standalone structure floating apart from the rows of dorm rooms, roughly the same size as room 1300. It featured automatic glass double doors that slid open as soon as she stepped within 1 meter of the frame, and overhead lights flickered on simultaneously. Jiang Mei froze, staring at the interior. It was a public restroom. A full-length mirror spanned the front wall above a row of wash basins. 2 hallways split off to either side, marked ladies and gents respectively. Golden text suddenly materialized across the top of the mirror. The public washroom is the sole neutral safe zone on this floor. All supernatural entities are barred from entering. Players may not remain inside for more than 1 hour total per day, and combat of any kind is forbidden within washroom boundaries. Jiang Mei clicked her tongue in quiet approval. The game's rules were surprisingly reasonable. It recognized how vulnerable players were while using the facilities, banning attacks from both human rivals and monsters to prevent cheap ambushes. Since she'd already found the restroom, she stepped inside to take care of personal needs. The space was spotless and odor-free, lined with polished tile floors, far nicer than her dorm room. She even briefly considered bedding down here for the night. She finished washing her hands at the sink when a man stepped out of the gents' hallway and locked eyes on her, his gaze overly intense. "Hey there, pretty girl." All alone using the restroom. Jiang Mei rolled her eyes, as if she'd brought someone along to assist her. She lifted her cleaver and waved it warningly in his direction. The man brushed off the threat entirely and advanced several steps closer. "I don't mean any trouble. Just wanted to add you as a contact for later. I can walk you back to your room and keep you safe." Jiang Mei had soft, delicate features and pale skin from spending most of her time indoors, giving her an outward appearance of gentle fragility, not stunningly beautiful, but easy to underestimate at first glance. Appearances were almost always misleading, though, and anyone who judged her lightly would pay the price. She stepped backward into the ladies' hallway. "We're trapped in a deadly survival game, and you're still wasting time bothering strangers?" His behavior reminded her of the cheap web novels she'd skimmed before entering this game, stories where the male lead collected crowds of compliant female survivors to shelter under his protection. "Don't be ungrateful." The man's tone soured with rejection. "A fragile girl like you won't last long alone in this horror game. Without a strong ally to rely on, you're doomed to die out here." Jiang Mei retreated fully past the ladies' threshold. She knew player versus player fighting was banned within the washroom, but she suspected a gender barrier blocked cross-hallway entry. Otherwise, there would be no separate male and female sections at all. She scanned him from head to toe and sneered. "You call yourself a reliable ally? You're barely taller than me, plain-looking, out of shape, and all you can think about is pestering strangers for attention. Calling you a safe haven would be an insult to gravestones." Her words struck a nerve. The man quickened his pace, determined to cross into the ladies' section after her. Jiang Mei slowly backed away, cleaver raised, ready to strike. The man scoffed. "That rusted blade doesn't scare me. I'll show you what happens when raw strength overpowers trivial weapons." He slammed into an invisible barrier mid-step, the rebound force sending him crashing backward onto the tile floor with a loud thud, a massive lump swelling instantly on his forehead. Jiang Mei breathed a quiet sigh of relief. An invisible partition did block men from entering the women's washroom. She seized the opening to sprint past the sinks, burst out the main glass doors, and darted right down the corridor without hesitation. The man was still dazed from his fall, unable to react fast enough to chase her. If not for the washroom's no combat rule, she would have lunged forward and struck him the second he hit the barrier. It amounted to the same outcome either way. The man scrambled to his feet, face burning with rage, and sprinted after her. But as he rounded the blind corner just outside the washroom entrance, Jiang Mei stepped out of hiding and swung her rusted cleaver straight at his face. A shrill scream tore from his throat as blood flooded down his features. He collapsed to the floor, writhing in agony. A long, deep gash split his skin from the bridge of his nose upward, a life-threatening wound with no medical supplies available to treat it in this game. Jiang Mei couldn't find an opening to land a finishing blow. He thrashed wildly, kicking his limbs across the floor, and she risked being struck if she drew too near. She shook out her tingling wrist. The impact of the swing had reverberated up her arm, nearly wedging the blade stuck in his flesh. This was only the second time she'd attacked another player, and she'd noticed a strange detail. Players bled when injured, yet the blood did not splatter widely. Neither of her two strikes had left much blood on her clothes, a stark contrast to how severe wounds would bleed in the real world. She hesitated, weighing whether to close in and finish him off to eliminate the threat entirely, when rapid footsteps echoed from the far end of the corridor. Jiang Mei could tell there was more than one set of footsteps approaching. She abandoned any thought of lingering to taunt them and sprinted in the opposite direction of the sound. Luckily, the corridor twisted and turned, letting her quickly conceal herself behind a wall. A man and a woman rounded the far corner hand in hand. They froze the second they spotted the man crumpled in agony outside the restroom. The woman had long scarlet hair. Her smudged makeup did nothing to dim her striking features. The man beside her wore a wolf cut. His facial features were plain, yet his tall frame and stylish haircut made him a fitting match for the woman. Jiang Mei watched them cautiously from behind the wall. The corridor lighting was dim, and the pair's full attention was fixed on the injured man on the ground, leaving them oblivious to her presence. Their intertwined hands spoke of deep familiarity that could never be feigned. They were clearly a genuine couple, not random strangers paired up barely an hour after entering the game. This took Jiang Mei by surprise. She'd assumed the game assigned players completely at random. She'd even entered this floor's housing unit while playing solo, never imagining people who already knew each other could end up on the same floor of the same building. It was hard to dismiss this as mere coincidence. "Hey, who hurt you?" the scarlet-haired woman called out, remaining on high alert. But the wounded man was in too much pain to register her words. "Stay back a little, babe," the wolf-cut man said suddenly, letting go of her hand and stepping toward the injured man. "What are you doing? You heard the system announcement earlier, right? Someone got the first kill and a massive reward." The red-haired woman's heart skipped a beat as she instantly grasped his intent. "Have you lost your mind? This game was always going to claim lives. If we can't clear the upcoming trials, the system will eliminate us sooner or later." A ruthless glint flashed across the wolf-cut man's face. "But the first kill reward's already been claimed." Even if you hurt him, the woman's resolve wavered with compassion. The wolf-cut man had already knelt beside the semi-conscious man writhing in pain, his large hands clamping tight around the victim's throat. "We can only try. This is a rare chance. Maybe every kill comes with rewards." His brutal streak frightened the red-haired woman, yet she made no move to stop him. A selfish curiosity burned within her too. She desperately wanted to find out if killing other players yielded prizes. The sudden lack of oxygen jolted the wounded man back to partial awareness. Seeing someone trying to strangle him, he thrashed wildly. One powerful kick sent the wolf-cut man tumbling backward. The injured man strained to push himself up and flee, but his body lacked the strength to move far. He flailed his limbs frantically, snarling a warning. "Touch me, and I'll drag you down with me when I die." At that moment, a black high-heeled shoe slammed hard into his face, tearing open his already mangled wounds even worse. A blood-curdling scream tore from the man's throat, and his eyes rolled back as he blacked out entirely. "Hurry, what are you standing around for?" the red-haired woman urged him frantically. The wolf-cut man scrambled to his feet, balled his fists, and pummeled the unconscious man's skull without mercy. Witnessing the gory, violent scene, Jiang Mei silently stepped backward. She moved with slow, deliberate lightness, taking every precaution not to draw their notice. Eventually, she put enough distance between herself and the brutal scene to escape undetected. Jiang Mei didn't stop exploring, instead taking a different route through the floor. On the 13th floor, players varied wildly. Some, like Zhuang Mengdai and Tang Yu, chose peaceful coexistence, willing to develop their resources and help each other survive. Others, such as the 3 people by the restroom door, would attack others without hesitation, ready to sacrifice anyone to stay alive. Seeing the wolf-cut man's unbridled cruelty only strengthened Jiang Mei's resolve to grow stronger. This was only the first day of the game, supposedly the easiest phase. If she failed to seize every opportunity now, future trials would become unmanageably difficult. Jiang Mei moved carefully through every corridor, memorizing the building's layout. At the slightest hint of movement, she doubled back to avoid crossing paths with strangers. During her exploration, she uncovered 2 more weathered wooden crates. This confirmed her theory that treasure chests spawned randomly. One crate had appeared along a path she'd already backtracked through earlier. Jiang Mei returned to room 1314, where her cat still curled fast asleep on the bed, its round, fluffy belly exposed without a shred of caution. She threw herself onto the mattress to bury her face in its fur, easing her frayed nerves, then pulled up her inventory to review the spoils from her outing. Obtained, bread X1, mineral water X2, stone X1. Obtained, bread X1, timber X1, stone X1. She smashed open the 2 new crates, gaining an additional 20 units of timber. Her total timber count now stood at 46, and the upgrade requirements for her level 1 bed appeared on her interface. Bed level 1, upgrade cost, timber X30 satisfied, nightmare coins X50 insufficient. Upgrade unavailable. Over an hour had passed since she'd been pulled into the game. Time spent resting on the bed accumulated continuously, granting her 2 extra nightmare coins. Her lucky cat was still 20 minutes away from generating its next batch of coins. The wait felt neither overly long nor short. Jiang Mei planned to head out once more to search for newly spawned chests nearby. Just then, a private message pinged her inbox. Zhuang Mengdai, hey girl, wanna strike a deal with me? Zhuang Mengdai, a player on the 17th floor, found a crafting blueprint. I've talked to them and they're willing to sell it for 100 nightmare coins. I thought we could team up to buy it together. Jiang Mei stared at the message in surprise, shocked both by the existence of crafting blueprints, the steep asking price, and Zhuang Mengdia's willingness to pay that much. Xiaoqi's mom, what kind of blueprint is worth 100 nightmare coins? Zhuang Mengdai, it's a weapon class blueprint, apparently. Xiaoqi's mom, why would they sell it instead of keeping it for themselves? A weapon blueprint sounded incredibly valuable, especially at the game's early stage. She couldn't fathom why anyone would choose to sell something so vital. Zhuang Mengdai, you need a workbench to craft anything from the blueprint, and each weapon requires extra rare materials to build. New players with barely any nightmare coins can't make use of it anyway. Selling it for coins to boost their own survival makes more sense. Jiang Mei saw the logic in her words, and the weapon blueprint stoked a strong desire within her. Xiaoqi's mom, there's only one blueprint. How would splitting the purchase work for us? Zhuang Mengdai, we each chip in half the cost. Whichever of us builds a workbench first gets to keep the blueprint, but we have to craft 5 finished weapons for the other person free of charge. Jiang Mei pulled up the game's mall interface and navigated to the Daily Supplies tab, where a workbench was listed for sale. The icon remained grayed out, priced at 500 nightmare coins. Average players would need to grind resources for ages to afford one. Jiang Mei faced no such barrier. Once her lucky cat finished generating coins, she'd easily have enough. The cheapest weapon available in the mall was a rusty dagger, costing just 10 nightmare coins apiece. 5 weapons would equal at minimum 50 nightmare coins in value, guaranteeing neither party lost out on the trade. Jiang Mei had no objections to this partnership arrangement, yet one concern lingered. Xiaoqi's mom, I don't have many coins saved up right now. I can't scrape together 50 nightmare coins quickly. Could you cover my half temporarily? Zhuang Mengdai, girl, don't try that trick. That lucky cat you picked up is obviously a coin-generating item. Her tone left no room for doubt. Xiaoqi's mom, how could you tell? Zhuang Mengdai, it's a lucky cat, come on. The name alone gives it away, basic common sense. Jiang Mei chose not to confirm or deny her guess, shifting the conversation forward. Xiaoqi's mom, draw up a formal player contract for the trade, and try to haggle the price down with the seller. 100 nightmare coins is way too steep for them to demand outright. Zhuang Mengdai, got it, will do. After wrapping up her chat with Zhuang Mengdai, only 10 minutes remained until her lucky cat produced its coins. Too lazy to venture back out, Jiang Mei browsed the mall to plan future purchases. The system's upgrade prompt for her door popped up as the countdown hit 0. Door level 0, HP 100. Upgrade cost, Timber X10 satisfied, Nightmare Coins X25 satisfied. Upgrade immediately? 5 minutes later, another prompt appeared. Door level 1, HP 200. Upgrade cost, Timber X30 satisfied, Nightmare Coins X50 satisfied. Upgrade immediately? 10 minutes after that, a sturdy new wooden door materialized in front of Jiang Mei, far thicker and sturdier than the flimsy original door. 2 consecutive upgrades should be enough to fend off any supernatural entities that would attack at night, Jiang Mei thought to herself. Her remaining timber was only enough for 1 more level 2 upgrade, and the door offered far better defensive value than the bed. The bed's only meaningful function besides comfort was slow nightmare coin generation, but now that she owned the lucky cat, its meager output held no appeal. Defending her room took clear priority. Her leftover resources were now Timber X6, Stone X4, Scrap Iron X2, Hemp Rope X2. None of these materials were sufficient to upgrade any other furniture or defenses. Jiang Mei still held a massive reserve of 462 nightmare coins, hardly enough to splurge freely, not when she still needed to save for a workbench. Joking aside, she planned to invest her first major windfall into reinforcing her living quarters before buying the workbench, as Zhuang Mengdai hadn't finished drafting their trade contract yet. She opened the mall's weapons tab to browse more defensive turrets. After purchasing 2, a system alert flashed across her screen. Detected 1x level 1 broom turret. Can be fused into 1x level 2 pitchfork turret. Fusion requirement. Workbench unowned. Fusion unavailable. Jiang Mei blinked in surprise. The mini-games she'd played before only required currency for upgrades, with power systems unlocking much later. This game forced players to fuse equipment, locked behind a workbench craft station. It was clear the workbench was an essential, mandatory piece of gear for every player long-term. Jiang Mei resolved to buy one the second her next batch of coins arrived, then use it to launch a resource and weapon trading business. A lucky cat could only generate so many coins before hitting a limit. True endless wealth came from turning resources into profit through trade. She pulled up the full stats for the level 1 broom turret. Level 1 broom turret, 10 nightmare coins. Attack range, 1 meter. Attack speed, 1 strike every 10 seconds. Damage, 5 HP. Jiang Mei had no frame of reference for how impactful 5 damage points were. She'd never seen the health bars of supernatural monsters to compare. As merely a basic tier turret, its firepower was undoubtedly weak. To cover every possible angle of attack, she bought 7 more turrets, bringing her total to 10 level 1 defensive emplacements. Arranged along both sides behind her front door, they formed an unbroken line of fire. Curious to test the fusion mechanic further, she purchased 2 additional rusty daggers. Detected 3x rusty daggers. Can be fused into 1x blunt dagger. Fusion requirement. Workbench unowned. Fusion unavailable. The fusion system applied to melee weapons too. Relief mixed with quiet excitement settled over Jiang Mei. If weapons couldn't be upgraded through fusion, she'd be stuck holding surplus blades with no choice but to resell them at a loss to other players later. At that moment, Zhuang Mengdai sent a trade contract to their group chat. Jiang Mei scanned the terms, found no hidden loopholes, and transferred 50 nightmare coins to her partner. Zhuang Mengdai, all set. I'm still haggling with the blueprint owner. Any extra cost will be split between us, and I'll refund surplus coins afterward. Xiaoqi's mom, don't forget the 40 nightmare coins you owe me from earlier. Xiaoqi's mom, a suggestion, we could recruit 1 floor manager for every floor to join our trading group. Having organized player networks on each level would make resource trades far simpler, and united players could deter senseless player-on-player violence. Zhuang Mengdai, that's a solid idea, though. Isn't talking about stopping player violence a little ironic coming from the first kill player? Xiaoqi's mom, I only acted in self-defense. Zhuang Mengdai, fair enough, I believe you. I could tell from the moment we met you weren't a malicious person. Jiang Mei didn't reply. Once, she would have wholeheartedly agreed she was a good person. But she'd already taken a life, and not long ago had nearly killed a second player without hesitation. She could no longer claim such a label for herself. Jiang Mei rested on the bed for a short while, readying to head out once more to hunt for treasure chests. Then the cold, mechanical system announcement echoed through every player's ears again. Congratulations to player Lu Xiaoao for unlocking a Building Egg event. All players in Unit 2, Building 5 will be transported to the single-player instance Guess the Colored Ball. Countdown. 30 seconds. Jiang Mei shot upright on the bed, grabbing one of her rusty daggers and waiting rigidly for the countdown to end. A single-player puzzle instance named Guess the Colored Ball. Jiang Mei assumed it would be a logic-based challenge, but she kept her weapon close regardless for safety. The building group chat erupted in panic, dozens of players tagging Lu Xiaoao and begging her to share clues about the upcoming instance. 30 seconds passed far too quickly for anyone to receive a response. A flash of white light washed over every player, and they all materialized inside an empty, blindingly white void. Jiang Mei scanned her surroundings with vigilance. She stood alone inside a featureless, sealed white room. Instance: Guess the Colored Ball. Objective: correctly guess the color of dropped balls to earn valuable rewards. The words faded, and an old, rickety slot machine-style console materialized at the exact center of the room, its frame worn and on the verge of falling apart. Players may insert 1 to 3 nightmare coins per round. The machine will dispense a matching number of colored balls after each guess. Guess 1 color correctly, gain 1 colored token. Guess 2 colors correctly, gain 2 colored tokens. Guess all 3 colors correctly, double your total colored tokens. 1 colored token can be exchanged for 10 nightmare coins. Unlimited rounds permitted. Instance time limit: 25 minutes. This egg event instance is one time only and will never reopen after today. Make the most of your time. Friendly reminder: players lacking nightmare coins may take loans from the temporary system bank, with double interest upon repayment. Avoid accumulating excessive debt. Enjoy your instance experience, hee hee. The booming system voice cut out. Jiang Mei stepped forward to examine the game console. It featured a glowing digital screen, a ball dispensing chute on its right side, and a small woven basket placed beneath the chute to catch falling tokens. The countdown timer for the instance had already begun, and rounds carried no limits. Without hesitation, Jiang Mei tapped the screen and inserted a single nightmare coin to test the mechanics. Coin inserted successfully. 10 glowing spheres lit up the screen, each dyed a unique shade: red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, white, black, gray. The spheres spun faster and faster until they blurred into streaks of color, then vanished entirely from the display. A soft thud echoed as a ball dropped inside the machine, yet nothing fell into the waiting basket. A multiple-choice prompt appeared on screen, tasking her to select 1 color from the 10 options as the hidden ball's shade. Jiang Mei sighed. This challenge relied entirely on blind luck with 0 logical clues. While her natural luck stat was abysmally low, she possessed an unbeatable hidden ability. The second the color options popped up, tiny golden text flickered beside the prompt: red. Jiang Mei selected the answer without a moment's hesitation. Congratulations, correct guess. Reward: 1 colored token. A small red sphere rolled into the basket below the chute, matching the color she'd guessed perfectly. Each token converted to 10 nightmare coins. This round had turned a tiny investment into clear profit. She started a second round immediately. To confirm her ability would activate reliably every time, she inserted 2 nightmare coins this time, tasked with guessing 2 separate ball colors. Guessing 2 balls carried higher difficulty than guessing 1, yet the reward scaled evenly to the number of coins spent, as if the system intended players to stick to single ball guesses. This imbalance meant nothing to Jiang Mei's unfair advantage. She avoided selecting the 3-coin round for now. A full triple correct guess doubled all existing tokens. If she only held 1 token after the first round, doubling would leave her with 2 tokens from a 3-coin investment. By guessing 2 balls for 2 coins instead, she gained 3 total tokens after the round ended. Once she accumulated more tokens, the triple guess rounds would become far more profitable. Unsurprisingly, she guessed both colors correctly again. She continued round after round, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way through the 10th round. Error. Critical system malfunction detected. Warning. Repeated warning. System overload detected for player Xiaoqi's mom. Emergency transport out of instance initiated. All token rewards auto-converted to nightmare coins for final settlement. Countdown to ejection. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Before Jiang Mei could voice a single complaint, a forceful invisible pull threw her back out of the white void instance. She had spent barely 5 minutes inside. Can't handle a little winning, huh? Jiang Mei rolled her eyes at the empty air. The system's excuse was laughably transparent. It had ejected her solely to stop her from racking up endless rewards. No attempt to hide its unfair bias at all. Jiang Mei quickly pulled up her coin balance panel, releasing a relieved breath once she saw the settlement had gone through completely. She had invested a total of 27 nightmare coins across 10 rounds, 1 coin for the first round, 2 coins for the second, and 3 coins for each of the remaining 8 rounds. Round 1 reward, 1 token. Round 2 reward, 2 tokens. Round 3 triple guess, doubled, 6 tokens. Round 4 12 tokens. Round 5 24 tokens. Round 6 48 tokens. Round 7 96 tokens. Round 8 192 tokens. Round 9 384 tokens. Round 10 768 tokens. Her final token haul converted to 768 times 10 is equal to 7,680 nightmare coins. Adding her leftover balance of 275 coins from before the instance, she now held a grand total of 7,955 nightmare coins. It was no wonder the system had crashed and kicked her out. She'd exploited the event for an enormous windfall. Jiang Mei let the system's petty ejection slide, her pockets overflowing with new wealth. It's a pity the game mall doesn't sell raw materials. If it did, Jiang Mei could level up massively. Right now, if she wanted more lumber, her only options were hunting treasure chests or buying materials from other players. She immediately sent a message to Zhuang Zhomeng, asking her to help buy lumber at the rate of 5 nightmare coins for 10 planks. She was also purchasing stone and other raw materials at the same price. As payment, she'd help Zhuang Zhomeng craft turrets for free later on. Jiang Mei still didn't know the specific uses for stone, iron sheets, and other supplies, but they would definitely come in handy eventually, so stocking up early couldn't hurt. Besides, she had more than enough coins to spare. Zhuang Zhomeng hadn't exited her dungeon yet, so there was no reply. Jiang Mei paid the full 500 nightmare coins up front to unlock the workbench. She also spotted sewing machine, generator, and other items lit up under the daily use tab, but since she didn't know their functions yet, she decided not to waste more coins for now. Even with her sizable fortune, she intended to spend every coin wisely. Jiang Mei placed the workbench against the left wall. The system handled the setup automatically, and a shabby 4-legged wooden table materialized out of thin air. That's it. Jiang Mei stared blankly at the rickety wooden table. She'd blown 500 nightmare coins just for this flimsy thing? Basic workbench can craft low-tier blueprint items. 40 crafting success rate. 50 of consumed materials are refunded upon failure. Durability, 100. Upgrade cost, 1,000 nightmare coins funds met. Upgrade now? Jiang Mei let out a dry, bitter laugh at the upgrade prompt. It had already swindled her out of 500 coins, and now it demanded another 1,000 just to upgrade? Even robbers didn't demand money this brazenly. While the 40 success rate seemed low, crafting turrets repeatedly was far cheaper than upgrading the bench. Suppose only 2 out of 5 crafts succeeded. To make 2 Tier 2 turrets, she'd only need 15 Tier 1 turrets, worth 150 coins total, and half the materials would be returned on failed attempts, driving costs even lower. A full 1,000 nightmare coins could craft dozens of Tier 2 turrets. Still, Jiang Mei chose to upgrade it anyway. Simple reason, she could easily afford it. Upgrading the basic workbench to intermediate took 20 minutes. By the time the process finished, her second round of nightmare coin income from the lucky cat would arrive. Combined with the coins generated by her bed, she'd net a total of 522 coins, meaning she'd effectively spent less than 500 coins to get the intermediate workbench. The intermediate workbench was still a wooden table, but brand new, built from solid sturdy timber with a much larger tabletop. Besides crafting, it could double as a dining table if she had proper meals to eat. Intermediate workbench can craft mid-tier blueprint items. 60 crafting success rate. 70 of consumed materials are refunded upon failure. Durability, 100. Upgrade cost, 3,000 nightmare coins funds met. Upgrade now? Jiang Mei gritted her teeth and hit the upgrade button again. She'd fully resolved to turn this workbench into her main source of massive profits. Her nightmare coin balance dropped to 3,977, and she went from a wealthy player to comfortably well off. At that moment, The dorm group chat blew up, and Zhuang Zhoming finally messaged her back. Zhuang Zhoming, girl, you bought planks off me for 5 coins per 12 boards before. Why'd you slash the price so fast? Zhuang Zhoming, wait, what do you mean by crafting turrets anyway? Since Jiang Mei planned to partner with her, she didn't hold back information and ignored the first question entirely. Xiaoqi's mom, 3 Tier 1 turrets or weapons can be combined into 1 Tier 2 turret or weapon. Crafting requires a workbench, and crafting attempts carry a chance of failure. Zhuang Zhoming, how do you know all this detailed stuff? Did you already buy a workbench? Xiaoqi's mom, got it right after leaving the dungeon. I had enough coins saved up. Zhuang Zhoming, wow, you're incredible. I almost caved and took out a loan earlier. Thankfully, I held back. Otherwise, I'd be drowning in debt right now. This game is brutal. Xiaoqi's mom, did you have terrible luck gambling? Zhuang Zhoming, absolutely. Check the main server group. Loads of players got addicted, took out loans, and lost everything. This game's all based on random luck, but I swear the small wins I got at first were just bait the game handed out on purpose. Jiang Mei instantly grasped her point. The game's lottery draw was temptingly designed. Ignoring cheats, guessing the color of one orb carried only a 10 win rate. Guessing 2 orbs at once dropped the odds to a mere 2.22. Guessing 3 plummeted it further to 0.83. Logically, even with bigger rewards for harder guesses, any rational player would stick to betting on a single orb. It was the safest option. If you kept picking the same color repeatedly, probability alone meant you'd break even with no net loss. 10 guesses cost 10 nightmare coins, and 1 winning draw rewarded a single orb valued at exactly 10 nightmare coins. With good luck, you could even win multiple draws in a row. That was the trap. Let players taste small early victories, and greed would push them to keep gambling nonstop. Time was limited, so anyone desperate for more nightmare coins had to cycle through draw after draw. Orb rewards only settled once players exited the dungeon, and most players barely held any coins right now. Nearly everyone had burned through their starting currency, and only a little over an hour had passed. Without upgrading their bed, players could only generate a single nightmare coin at most. Barring those who'd stumbled on rare lucky encounters, most players couldn't afford more than 1 draw without taking loans. Suppose the game's core design was to force players into borrowing money from the in-game bank. In that case, the first round of draws would guarantee every player a win. Whether subsequent results relied purely on random chance or hidden rigging, Jiang Mei couldn't tell. But gambling was almost always a losing game. Players stuck with high-interest loans would refuse to cut their losses after losing, borrowing more and more to chase their money back. It was textbook gambler's fallacy. Hundreds of scrolling, despairing messages in the apartment group chat proved just how dangerous the game truly was. There were no vicious ghosts hunting players down, no thrilling chase sequences. It only exploited human greed to destroy people without lifting a finger. Jiang Mei didn't know what fate awaited players buried in debt, but she recalled the casual mobile horror game Ghost Dorms from her real life. Players who defaulted on loans would get haunted by debt-collecting wraiths banging down their doors. The total member count of the apartment dorm group shrank slightly, yet almost no one noticed. 5th building, Unit 2 player group 686 members 12th floor Jiqiang. Help. I took out a 300 coin loan and lost all of it. This stupid game's rigged. I only got 7 orbs total. 8th floor Seasky. I won 3 out of my first 5 draws, then couldn't win a single one after that. I couldn't stand losing, so I borrowed 150 coins bit by bit, and now I owe 450 back. My bed won't generate nearly enough coins to pay it off once the dorm survival phase ends. 11th floor Twin Ponytails from Greater Bay. I never borrowed any money, only played 1 round and won. Sat around the dungeon for 20 minutes straight and walked away with 9 free nightmare coins. Pure profit. 31st floor Immortal Hand. Wow, the girl above me is the smart one. I'm drowning in debt from nonstop draws, and she made coins just by playing once. 4th floor Zhou Batong. Guys, everyone I talked to won a little at first, then lost everything. Do you think the game's setting us up on purpose? 11th floor I Want to Survive. It's the oldest casino trick in the book. Let new players win small to stoke greed, then take everything once they're hooked. 25th floor Smiling Face. I don't get why anyone would take out loans to spend money they don't have. 18th floor Liao. It's mostly the game's short time limit to blame. If we had unlimited time, I'd definitely win all my coins back eventually. 32nd floor Tang Clan Saint. That line of thinking's exactly why gamblers get no sympathy. 17th floor Lady Rococo. What actually happens if you're stuck in debt? Do you die? Ninth floor peace all year round. It can't be that brutal. So many players took loans. The game can't kill all of us at once. Third floor idiot god. Anyone who's played Ghost Dorms knows debt wraiths will break down your door if you skip repayments. First floor Chin Chin. Exactly why I refused to borrow coins and dodged that disaster. Scrolling through the group's chatter, a grave thought crossed Jiang Mei's mind. Did the game intend to kill players off entirely? She remembered the first line she'd heard upon entering the world. Do you wish to reshape the world? The wording sounded like an invitation to survive. That ruled out every indebted player being marked for death. If reshaping the world was the game's ultimate goal, mass slaughter couldn't be its primary objective. It was far more likely sorting through players to select those fit for the new world. From that perspective, eliminating all debt-ridden players made perfect sense. They lacked rational judgment and self-control, easily led astray by avarice. There were endless logical ways to interpret the game's motives, and players could only guess blindly. As Jiang Mei mulled this over, Zhuang Zhomeng sent another message, her tone seething with frustration. Zhuang Zhomeng, ugh. That guy hiked up his price out of nowhere, I'm furious. Zhuang Zhomeng, I almost got him down to 80 coins after haggling, then the dungeon cut our trade short. Zhuang Zhomeng, once we exited the instance, he jacked the price all the way to 200. Said he's stuck with loans and needs the blueprint money to pay them off. Zhuang Zhomeng, why am I stuck footing his debt? It's none of my business. Zhuang Zhomeng, if we could travel between floors, I'd march straight over and demand an explanation for his ridiculous markup. Jiang Mei stared blankly at the flood of venting texts. Her first impression of Zhuang Zhomeng had been mature, calm, and level-headed. Now she saw the woman's bold, unfiltered personality underneath. Xiaoqi's mom, don't stress over it. He can't be the only player who unlocked that blueprint. You control the only trading chat group for now, until official cross-player trading unlocks. You hold all the leverage. Xiaoqi's mom, if he refuses to strike a deal with us, he can go door to door on his own floor looking for buyers. Just hope his neighbors don't get greedy and attack him to steal the blueprint outright. Zhuang Zhomeng, thanks for the pep talk. I feel a lot calmer now. Jiang Mei rolled her eyes. Xiaoqi's mom, I wasn't comforting you. I'm telling you to use that leverage against him. Zhuang Zhomeng, oh wow, I was too upset to pick up on that hint. Thanks for reminding me. I'll message him right away. Jiang Mei closed the chat window and prepared to head out to hunt treasure chests. Basic broken wooden crates held no supplies worth chasing anymore. What she needed most were intact high-tier chests. She stuck to the internal building corridors again to minimize chances of running into other players. She followed the path she'd already mapped out to avoid getting lost. It didn't take long for Jiang Mei to spot a chest. Huh, this wasn't the usual battered wooden crate. Its surface was fully intact with no splintered edges, wrapped in a brighter glowing pale fluorescent light. Jiang Mei guessed it was a higher-tier chest than the broken ones. Eagerly, she stepped forward to open it, hoping for rare valuable loot. Croak, a shrill croak seeped through the crate's cracks. Before Jiang Mei could react, a slimy tongue lashed out and licked her left forearm. A burning stinging pain flared across her skin instantly. Croak, the cry echoed again, as if something inside was straining to burst out of the wooden box. Jiang Mei's heart sank. The instant the lid creaked open, she swung her blade hard. Critical hit. 14 HP she'd struck whatever creature hid within. The black mass had rubbery elastic skin. Her blade hadn't cut through its hide, only slammed into its body. Croak. The shadowy beast let out a piercing screech of pain, shooting its long crimson tongue straight toward Jiang Mei to strike again. Though she couldn't make out the creature's full shape, its floating health bar hovered clearly above its head. Jiang Mei raised her blade and hacked repeatedly, landing blow after blow on the whipping red tongue. 7 HP, 7 HP, 8 HP. Croak, irk. The black creature collapsed, defeated. It moved slowly despite its constant hopping, blending into dark surroundings with natural camouflage to stay hidden. Other than the initial unexpected sneak attack that caught her off guard, none of its subsequent strikes landed on Jiang Mei. Still, the burning ache on her left forearm showed no sign of fading. It only grew hotter and more painful by the second. Black toad slain ×1. Loot obtained. Black toad elixir ×1. Toad ointment ×1. Additional loot. Bread ×3. Chocolate ×2. Mineral water ×5. Lumber ×3. Iron sheet ×1. The dark amphibian vanished without a trace, leaving a small vial of black liquid and a short white jar on the ground in its place. Black Toad Elixir, used during crafting, chance to add corrosion attribute to finished items. Toad Ointment, neutralizes toad venom poisoning. Chocolate, restores 1 stamina upon consumption. Jiang Mei stowed the elixir in her wooden storage crate alongside the food and raw materials she'd collected. She'd learned a critical lesson. Treasure chests didn't only drop supplies, they could spawn hostile monsters waiting to ambush anyone careless enough to open them. Glancing down at her swollen red forearm, Jiang Mei realized the burning discomfort was the toad's corrosive venom. Even with the beast dead, the toxin lingered in her skin. She twisted open the small white jar, scooped out a dollop of ointment, and spread it over her injured arm. A cool, soothing sensation washed over the burn. The inflamed red skin faded back to normal flesh right before her eyes. In roughly 5 seconds, her forearm looked completely unharmed, with 2/3 of the ointment still remaining in the jar. What a useful item. Jiang Mei stored the leftover ointment in her crate and pressed deeper into the corridors to continue exploring. Global server announcement. All Gods Chosen candidates selected. 10 players from the Flower Nation, Eagle Nation, Bear Nation, Sakura Nation, and 6 other countries have earned the divine favor. Unique special abilities have been fully granted to all chosen. Remain low-key and conceal your identity as Gods Chosen. If a chosen player is slain by supernatural entities, their unique divine ability is permanently erased. If a chosen player is killed by an ordinary human player, their divine ability transfers to the killer, who inherits the divine will and becomes the new Gods Chosen. The eerie distorted system voice echoed inside every player's mind, dropping a ticking time bomb on the entire server. A jolt of shock shot through Jiang Mei. Could she possibly be the Flower Nation's single Gods Chosen player? She alone could see golden floating text revealing hidden game rules invisible to everyone else. She'd confirmed this through quiet observation of every other player she'd crossed paths with so far. The clearest example was the supply room on floor 1300, only she could read the special hidden item descriptions there. She'd never linked her unique site to being a divine candidate. 10 global slots felt far too rare to land on her. She'd simply written it off as a lucky game glitch tied to bringing her cat into the world with her. The server announcement finally put everything into perspective. Her glitch was actually a unique divine gift. She pulled up her player's stat panel, initially planning to check if her luck stat had a typo, missing 2 trailing zeros. Instead, she found her character sheet had updated entirely. Player ID, 5637894. Nickname, Xiaoqi's mom. Bloodthirsty Gods Chosen. 7 Gender, female. Age, 21. Health, 68 + 2/100. Late nights take their toll on human bodies. Recover health via sleep. Stamina, 2 + 2. You huff and puff just walking short distances. Constitution, 5 + 2. Try not to toss and turn while sleeping. You might strain your back. Intelligence, 22. Your brain hoards all your bodily vitality. Fascinating. Agility, 2. Are you secretly a sloth in human form? Strength, 7. You'd struggle lifting a full bowl of plain rice. Luck, for you'll step in bad luck every time you head outside. Combat rating, Grade B. Don't celebrate. This is the lowest tier possible. Nightmare coins, 3977. Unique passive item, Lucky Cat, generates 520 nightmare coins per hour. Special divine ability, Eye of the Seventh God, discern hidden rules. The stat sheet confirmed everything beyond any doubt. She truly was the sole citizen of the Flower Nation blessed by the gods. Jiang Mei thought back over her life, unable to name any extraordinary talents or standout traits she possessed. Had her first monster kill caught the gods' attention? That theory didn't hold up either. She'd seen the golden rule text the moment she spawned, right after the opening system countdown finished. That meant Jiang Mei had obtained this special ability the very moment she logged into the game. But why? Jiang Mei refused to believe she was some chosen savior. In real life, she might have daydreamed about all good fortune falling into her lap. But this was a horror survival game. She did not believe in coincidences. She was convinced everything happened for a reason, with a hidden agenda. One might even call it a conspiracy. She had to doubt everything and never let her guard down if she wanted to stay alive in this man-eating game. Learning she was a God's chosen player brought her no joy at all. Instead, it only amplified her sense of crisis. Once a God's chosen player's identity was exposed, other players would likely hunt them down to seize their status. She needed to level up her supplies and gear faster. Jiang Mei quickened her pace of searching, and beside a wall not far from the public restrooms, she spotted a tattered wooden crate. Congratulations! You've acquired bread ×3, mineral water ×1. Jiang Mei emptied all contents from the regular wooden crate into the tattered one, then smashed the regular crate to pieces. She had two reasons for this. First, keeping the tattered crate made her less conspicuous and less likely to be targeted, as it was the lowest-tier crate that never yielded valuable loot. Second, she wanted to test how much lumber a regular crate dropped when destroyed. Lumber ×30. Jiang Mei was mildly surprised, 3 times the amount from the tattered crate. She stowed all the lumber inside the worn crate. Dress up Zhou Mingdia, girl. That guy finally agreed to sell it. But he won't budge on the price. 100 nightmare coins, plus 1 crafted weapon as extra payment. Jiang Mei read the message and typed a reply while continuing her search. Little 7 Mom. Alright, go ahead and buy it. Dress up Zhou Mingdia, hee, girl, I don't have enough coins. Little 7 Mom. Dress up Zhou Mingdia. I'll borrow them from you. I promise I'll pay you back tomorrow. Little 7 Mom. How about this? I'll cover both the 100 nightmare coins and the weapon. We'll void the original contract, and I'll give you a transaction handling fee instead. Dress up Zhou Mingdia. But I think getting 5 crafted weapons would be a better deal. Little 7 Mom. Obviously. But you don't have the coins. If you need money, go earn it instead of coming to me. Dress up Zhou Mingdia. Calm down, girl. I'm an honest person with no hidden tricks. Dress up Zhou Mingdia. Let's make a deal. I borrow 50 coins, pay back 60 tomorrow, plus the 40 I already owe you, for a total repayment of 100 nightmare coins. Little 7 Mom. I'm a straight shooter too, so I'll lay it out plainly. I can lend you the coins, but you need to gather 500 lumber, 100 stone, 100 iron sheets, and 100 rope for me before the end of today. Little 7 Mom. If you collect all of them, I'll waive the interest tomorrow and still pay your handling fee, calculated at 10, 1 coin for every 10 nightmare coins traded. The previous offer of free crafting is cancelled. Little 7 Mom. If you fail to gather the full amount, you'll still owe me interest regardless of how many materials you bring. Dress up Zhou Mingdia was stunned. Dress up Zhou Mingdia. Wait a second, girl. How are you loaded like this? Did you hit some jackpot? How much have you earned in this dungeon? Oh wait, you've got the lucky cat. Ugh, I'm so jealous. Little 7 Mom. Don't poke your nose into other people's business. The other party fell silent for a moment, seemingly tallying numbers. Dress up Zhou Mingdia, deal. I'll post a buying notice in the group right away. I'll definitely get all those materials for you. If I fall short, I'll run out and hunt crates myself. Little 7 Mom. Got it. Dress up Zhou Mingdia. Can you send over the 50 coins first, hee. Little 7 Mom. Create a formal contract in the trade group. Dress up Zhou Mingdia. Got it. Holding her blade, Jiang Mei cautiously pried open another regular crate she'd found, her focus razor-sharp, ready to strike any toad monster that might jump out. Yet no danger lurked within once the lid lifted. Congratulations! You've acquired bread ×7, mineral water ×3, lumber ×6, iron sheet ×1, hemp rope ×3, cement ×3. Cement, upgrade material. It seemed monsters only spawned inside crates by chance, not as a guarantee. Moreover, when no monster appeared to drop loot, the crate itself contained more basic supplies. Jiang Mei smashed this crate as well, gaining another lumber ×30. But when she tried to store the new lumber in her tattered crate, she hit a snag. 3 pieces of lumber simply wouldn't fit no matter how she rearranged her items. Does the crate have limited storage space and I've hit the cap? Jiang Mei roughly estimated the tattered crate's maximum capacity was around 100 storage units. That must be why the last 3 planks wouldn't fit. Given that, Jiang Mei decided to head back to her dorm. There was no point hunting more supplies if she couldn't carry them. She planned to return, tally up all her materials, and upgrade anything she could. Once Dress Up Zhou Mingdia sent over the weapon blueprint, she'd also figure out how to craft gear with it. With her thoughts sorted, Jiang Mei retraced her steps back to her dormitory. She had barely reached her door and reached for the handle when a shrill creak echoed from diagonally behind her. A rickety wooden door scraped open. Someone from room 1313 was stepping outside. Jiang Mei turned and locked eyes with a short-haired girl. Panic flickered across the girl's fair, clean face for a split second before she steadied herself, her expression hardening into cold wariness. She wore a standard high school autumn uniform, looking harmless at first glance, yet her white-knuckled grip on a fire axe radiated clear danger. Jiang Mei stared at the axe for 2 beats, faintly shocked. The player with the fire axe lived right across the hall from her. The short-haired girl glanced at the kitchen knife in Jiang Mei's hand, equally on edge, though she made no hostile move. They held each other's gaze for several seconds, then both looked away silently. Jiang Mei unlocked her door and stepped inside, while the girl shut her own door and left. They were just like unfamiliar neighbors in the real world, minding their own business and leaving each other be, at least for now. Peace held between them. Jiang Mei poured all her supplies into her silver chest, then smashed the empty tattered crate, gaining lumber times 10. Current total inventory. Weapons. Rusted blade times 3 turret. Tier 1 broom turret times 10 workstation. Advanced workbench 100 durability storage. Silver chest times 1 empty food. Bread times 31. Mineral water times 21. Dried meat times 10. Chocolate times 2. Potions. Black toad elixir times 1. Toad ointment times 1 2/3 remaining materials. Lumber times 85. Stone times 4. Iron sheet times 4. Hemp rope times 5. Cement times 3 apparel. Primary combat suit times 1 gemstone. Primary strength stone times 1 nightmare coins. 39.27. She had enough lumber to upgrade her bed once more. Tier 1 bed. Generates 2 nightmare coins per hour. Upgrade cost. Lumber times 30 satisfied. Nightmare coins times 50 satisfied. Upgrade immediately? The bed began upgrading. She had enough lumber for the next tier of her door, but lacked stone. 20 stone required, and she had only 4. Her advanced workbench finished its own upgrade, and Jiang Mei couldn't wait to test its crafting functions. Advanced workbench. Unlocks high-tier blueprint crafting. 80 crafting success rate. 90 materials refunded upon failure. Durability. 100. Next upgrade cost. 6,000 nightmare coins insufficient. Further upgrades locked. Jiang Mei brushed off the exorbitant upgrade price. An 80 success rate was excellent, and even failed crafts only lost 1/10 of materials. That minor loss meant nothing to her. She placed all 3 rusted blades onto the workbench. 3 Tier 1 rusted blades detected. Can forge 1 Tier 2 dull blade. Crafting requirement. Workbench satisfied. Forge immediately? Jiang Mei selected yes. A glowing aura wrapped the 3 kitchen knives on the table, merging them into an egg-shaped orb. A countdown timer appeared above it. 5 minutes remaining. Jiang Mei frowned slightly. Upgrades took time, and crafting did too. She'd need to plan ahead for future trades. A sudden idea struck her. She carried 3 turrets from her doorway over to the workbench and set them down. 3 Tier 1 broom turrets detected. Can forge 1 Tier 2 pitchfork turret. Crafting requirement. Workbench satisfied. Forge immediately? A flash of light marked confirmation. This turret craft also entered its 5-minute countdown. So the workbench could process 2 crafts simultaneously. Jiang Mei kept experimenting. A 3rd set of turrets went into crafting. A 4th set of turrets went into crafting. She bought 2 more Tier 1 brooms, adding a 5th turret craft to the queue. 12 turrets total were now being forged. If all succeeded, she'd have 4 Tier 2 turrets. Jiang Mei purchased 3 more rusted blades, ready to queue another blade craft once space freed up. But the 6th craft failed to register. No crafting prompt appeared, revealing the advanced workbench had a hard cap of 5 concurrent crafting projects. 5 minutes passed quickly, and the countdown on her first blade craft hit 0. Craft success. You've acquired Tier 2 dull blade. The egg-shaped glow faded, leaving a polished kitchen knife resting on the workbench surface. All rust had vanished from its metal. It no longer dealt toxic corrosion damage, and Jiang Mei wondered if that trade-off was worth it. Dull blade. Plus 10 attack power. Jiang Mei studied the blade stats. It boosted her attack by 10%. She thought back to fighting Blacktoads. Her first critical strike had dealt 14 damage, while most regular hits landed for 7 damage, occasionally 8. Her base strength stat sat at exactly 7, matching the standard 7 damage per swing. Critical hits doubled that value. The rare 8 damage strikes likely stemmed from her bloodthirsty passive buff. Equipping Bloodthirsty granted a 5 strength boost, but with her low base strength, the bonus barely registered, only adding an extra point of damage once in a while. With this math clear, she had a solid grasp of her Tier 2 blade's combat potential. She placed the 3 newly purchased rusted blades back onto the workbench. She also noticed the workbench's durability had dropped from 100 to 99 after finishing the first blade craft. A new option popped up below, repair. Jiang Mei clicked it, losing 1 nightmare coin as the workbench's durability restored fully to 100. Thankfully, repairs required no extra materials, only nightmare coins. She'd need to factor crafting wear and tear into her business costs from now on. All 4 remaining turret crafts succeeded, rewarding her with 4 Tier 2 pitchfork turrets. Pitchfork turret, attack range, 2 meters, fire rate, 1 strike every 10 seconds, damage, 20 HP per hit. This damage stat thrilled Jiang Mei. Turret damage had jumped from 5 to 20 per hit. A single Tier 2 turret outperformed 3 Tier 1 versions combined, with double the attack radius to boot. Ignoring crafting failure costs, each Tier 2 turret only cost roughly 1 nightmare coin to produce. Jiang Mei saw huge profit potential trading these to other players. Turrets fended off supernatural entities, drastically boosting players' survival odds through the night. Blades and melee weapons, by contrast, boosted player power to fight rival survivors. Jiang Mei had no interest in selling those for now. The stronger other players grew, the weaker her own relative advantage became. She bought another 3 rusted blades to craft, aiming to forge a Tier 3 blade for her own use. The girl across the hall in room 1313 owned a fire axe. Longer weapons held natural reach advantage, and Jiang Mei feared her Tier 2 blade would be outmatched in close combat. While she busied herself crafting, Dress-Up Zhomingdia suddenly sent a trade link through their private group chat. A tattered parchment blueprint materialized in front of Jiang Mei. Dress-Up Zhomingdia, I got scammed. Take a look for yourself, my blood pressure's through the roof right now. Jiang Mei's heart sank reading the message. She knew this concerned the blueprint. She carefully examined the worn parchment laid out before her. Primary nail clipper blueprint. Use, trim nails. Craft cost, iron sheet times 5. Jiang Mei instantly understood why Dress-Up Zhomingdia was furious. Little Seven Mom, he called this a weapon blueprint. Dress-Up Zhomingdia, the system actually classifies it as a weapon. Can you believe how ridiculous that is? Dress-Up Zhomingdia's trade with the player on the 17th floor had been bound by an official game contract. Since the transaction completed without violation, she had no grounds to argue or demand a refund. Dress-Up Zhomingdia. That's why he only kept saying it was a weapon blueprint and refused to name what weapon it was, acting all mysterious. He'd planned this trick all along. Jiang Mei held off replying. Beneath the tattered parchment blueprint, a line of tiny golden text caught her eye. Primary nail clipper, on use, inflicts continuous damage to supernatural entities, 5 HP per second for 10 seconds. 10-second cooldown after use. Activation line to wield. Let me trim your nails for you. Jiang Mei stared blankly for a long moment. She'd never seen such a lengthy block of golden item text, and the tiny font made it hard to parse. But once she finished reading, her mood brightened instantly. This truly was a functional weapon, one that dealt sustained damage to supernatural foes. Its damage output far outstripped Tier 1 turrets. A Tier 1 turret dealt 5 damage once every 10 seconds. This nail clipper dealt 5 damage every second for a full 10-second window. Its crafting cost was merely 5 iron sheets. Based on her bulk buying prices, that equaled 2.5 nightmare coins in raw materials, at most 3.5 coins accounting for workbench wear. Factoring in failure rates, crafting time, and trade fees, total production costs would cap out at 5 nightmare coins apiece. It was far more cost-effective than broom turrets. The nail clipper held another critical advantage turrets lacked: portability. If she encountered supernatural creatures while scavenging outside or exploring dungeons, this item would grant an extra layer of protection. Setting aside the seller's deceptive scheme, the blueprint itself was extremely valuable. A lucrative business idea immediately took shape in Jiang Mei's mind. Meanwhile, Dress-Up Zhomingdia was seething, flooding their private chat with angry rants to vent her frustration. She'd wanted to storm the dorm group and publicly berate the scam artist, but the trade contract was already finalized. If she lashed out in the main group, other players would label her untrustworthy and unreliable for future trades, an outcome she couldn't afford. Jiang Mei ignored the flood of angry messages. Little Seven Mom, do you still want this nail clipper blueprint? Dress-Up Zhomingdia, what would I even use it for? Trimming nails off monsters? Ugh, fine, send me one anyway, I do need to trim my own nails. As a basic daily tool, it still held minor utility. Little Seven Mom, you hit the nail on the head, It really works on supernatural creatures. Dress up Zhomingdia. Oh, wait, what? What do you mean, girl? Dress up Zhomingdia was a vital partner for all her trading ventures, so Jiang Mei saw no point hiding the Clipper's true function. She would have to tell her eventually, and more importantly, she needed Dress Up Zhomingdia to source the iron sheets required for mass production. Jiang Mei explained the nail clipper's combat capabilities to her. Dress Up Zhomingdia. No way, no way, no way. That's insanely powerful. I want 5 of them immediately. You're the best, girl. Little Seven Mom, go buy up all available iron sheets right now. Iron sheets are barely useful to most players, so they should be easy to source cheaply. Dress Up Zhomingdia, on it. I'll draft a buying post for the group this instant. Dress Up Zhomingdia acted fast, rushing to write her bulk material purchase notice. Jiang Mei only held 4 iron sheets in her inventory, not enough to craft a single clipper. She'd have to wait for the materials to arrive. At that moment, the crafting timer on her workbench expired. Of her 2 remaining blade crafts, 1 succeeded and 1 failed. The failed craft refunded 90 of materials, but instead of returning partial blades, it reimbursed her 27 nightmare coins directly. In total, she lost roughly 4 nightmare coins, counting the 1 coin workbench repair cost. Such minor losses were trivial to Jiang Mei. She bought 3 more rusted blades and queued another forge. While waiting, she opened the dorm group chat to scroll through old messages for useful intel. Building 5, Unit 2 Player Group 678 members. 33F Doomsday Chemist. I'm this close to giving up. This game makes 0 sense, I can't take it anymore. 7F Akali. Yeah, it's totally unreasonable. You only earn nightmare coins sleeping in bed, but if you're in bed you can't go hunt crates. 14F Spirit Medium. I'm starving, this bread tastes awful. 16F Beautiful Life. My suggestion is to go crate hunting during the day, the system even recommends it. You can farm nightmare coins overnight while resting. Floor 33 Breaking Bad, but without nightmare coins, I can't buy turrets or upgrade the door. How are we supposed to fend off the wraiths at night? This rickety door won't hold out for long. Floor 5 Lolly. Word on the grapevine, upgrading beds and doors takes 10 wood plus 25 nightmare coins each. Floor 33 Breaking Bad. Are you kidding me? Even sleeping a full day only nets 24 nightmare coins. 25 is practically impossible to scrape together. Don't try to stop me. My floor's high enough to jump off. Floor 1 Slug Wanderer. Nobody's trying to stop you. Floor 5 Lolly. Actually, I've got another rumor, not sure if I should say it. Floor 33 Breaking Bad. Spit it out. Floor 1 Slug Wanderer at Floor 33 Breaking Bad. Why haven't you jumped yet? I'll be waiting down below to catch you. Floor 33 Breaking Bad. Cut it out. Floor 5 Lolly. I heard players can earn tons of nightmare coins by eliminating other survivors. Floor 33 Breaking Bad. Don't even suggest that. Floor 9 Ming Ming. Is that real? Do you really get nightmare coins from killing others? I thought rewards only dropped for your first elimination. Floor 5 Lolly. It's not just a one-time first kill bonus. You inherit all the victims' nightmare coins, plus 20 of the total value of their supplies converted into nightmare coins. Floor 8 Skybound. How do you know all this so well? Did you kill someone at Floor 5 Lolly? Floor 5 Lolly. I haven't hurt anyone, but plenty of players definitely have. They've grown filthy rich off it. Haven't you noticed how many people vanished from the group chat? Floor 24 Karma. That's horrifying. Can't we band together and pull through this crisis instead of turning on each other? Floor 8 Skybound. Don't be naive. Humans are cruel by nature. Floor 3 Chocolate. It's all Seven Mom who set this terrible precedent. If she hadn't drawn first blood and claimed the reward, no one else would have started attacking each other. Jiang Mei scrolled the chat and spotted her own ID, the username painfully familiar. It was the same person who'd picked a fight with her last time. Why does this person keep targeting me? Jiang Mei couldn't wrap her head around it. The chat was about to spiral into chaos with biased rumors when the message disguised under Zhou Mingdia's alias finally finished uploading. Floor 13 Masked Zhou Mingdia. Trade notice: I run a private trading group protected by system rules with 0 risk for all exchanges. Message me privately if you're interested. I'm buying massive quantities of iron sheets, wood, stone, hemp rope, and other upgrade materials with no upper limit for now. Floor 13 Masked Zhou Mingdia. Rate: 5 nightmare coins per 10 units of any mixed materials. Iron sheets are my top priority. Reach out fast if you've got stock. This post crashed into the chat like a boulder hitting a sandpit, stirring up an avalanche of replies. Floor 19 1 in a million. Wait a minute. You're trading nightmare coins for raw materials, unlimited stock? Where did you get that many coins? Floor 2 Night Terror. How do players from separate floors trade anyway? What even is this trading group you mentioned? Floor 25 Lost Soul. What are iron sheets used for? Anyone care to explain, Big Shot? Dozens of confused, skeptical comments flooded the screen, and silent lurkers popped up one after another to tag Masked Zhomingdia. Masked Zhomingdia explained the trading group's full mechanics, then tagged a resident of Floor 17 to vouch for her credibility. Floor 13 Masked Zhomingdia. I've already completed a trade with at Floor 17 Orange City. Anyone doubtful can ask him for confirmation. All trades require a binding contract first, fully protected by the game system. Message me privately to negotiate terms before I add you to the group. Floor 13 Masked Zhomingdia. Once your transaction wraps up, I'll remove you from the chat, as group member slots are limited. My apologies for the inconvenience. As for where I get my nightmare coins, I'm merely an intermediary linking buyers and sellers. Floor 13 Masked Zhomingdia. The identities of high-tier players placing bulk orders and their desired goods are confidential, so I can't share those details. The unlimited buying offer is temporary. I'll halt purchases once I hit my resource quota. Floor 13 Masked Zhomingdia. Everyone's struggling to earn nightmare coins right now. Don't miss this rare chance. This opportunity won't come again. Floor 17 Orange City. It's true. I finished a full trade with Mengdai. Everything was safe and secure. Rest assured, everyone. Jiang Mei suspected Orange City felt guilty over past conflicts with her. He'd rushed to back Masked Zhomingdia the second she posted her explanation. Many players grew eager reading their exchange and said they wanted to trade materials. Others admitted they simply didn't have enough spare supplies to participate. Floor 21 Wealth Guy. I opened 3 treasure chests and only got 7 materials total. My luck's terrible. That's not even enough to exchange for 5 coins. I'm already over 100 nightmare coins in debt. Ugh. Dozens of players replied agreeing with his complaint. Worn wooden chests yielded pitifully few resources when opened normally. Masked Zhomingdia. Free public tip for everyone. Wooden chests can be smashed open. 1 worn crate breaks down into 10 wood. Floor 21 Wealth Guy. Really? I'm going to test this right away. Floor 1 Slug Wanderer. Ugh, why didn't anyone mention this sooner? I tossed out dozens of chests thinking they were useless junk. Floor 33 Breaking Bad. LOL. For those who don't know, chests double as portable storage containers with huge internal space. How can everyone be this oblivious? Floor 1 Slug Wanderer. Stop mocking us. Jump down from your floor and help me hunt for my lost crates. Floor 33 Breaking Bad. Leave me alone. A private message pinged on Jiang Mei's chat window from Masked Zhomingdia. Masked Zhomingdia, girlfriend, send over the coins fast. I'm swamped with trade requests right now. Jiang Mei held nothing back. She had Masked Zhomingdia create a proxy purchasing contract, then transferred 500 nightmare coins to her. Masked Zhomingdia. Wow, you've got way more coins than I imagined. Jiang Mei, hit me up when you run low again. Masked Zhomingdia, absolute wealth legend. Jiang Mei closed the private chat. Her Tier 2 blade finished crafting on the workbench, and she immediately began synthesizing a Tier 3 variant. She hoped the upgrade succeeded on the first try, otherwise she'd have to craft another Tier 2 blade from scratch. After hours of tinkering, her money cat delivered its 3rd round of passive income. Setting aside coins lent out and funds pre-allocated for trades, Jiang Mei currently held 3,818 nightmare coins on hand. After upgrading her bed to Tier 2, it generates 5 nightmare coins every hour. Combined with all her other income streams, Jiang Mei earns 525 nightmare coins per hour total. She pulled out a loaf of bread and a bottle of clean water to eat. 3 hours had passed since she entered the game, and hunger gnawed at her stomach. Time flowed strangely in this realm. Without the constant countdown timers on her bed and money cat, she'd have no sense of the hours slipping by at all. The bread tasted exactly like players in the group chat had complained, bland and flavorless. To someone used to the rich artificial flavors of food from the real world, it was nearly unbearable to swallow. Still refusing to waste supplies, Jiang Mei finished every last bite. Ding, a crisp chime echoed across the dormitory complex, grabbing every player's full attention. Immediately afterward, the game's eerie, distorted system voice boomed in all survivors' ears. Lunch hour commences. The dormitory cafeteria is now open. The cafeteria only unlocks once daily at 11:30, accessible for a single hour. Hurry to enter before the window closes. The cafeteria provides absolute safety within its operating hour. Once the time limit expires, all system protection vanishes, and players bear full responsibility for any consequences. This cafeteria maintains a peaceful dining environment. Fighting, quarrels, or harassment are strictly prohibited. Violators will receive a permanent blacklist barring all future entry. Today marks the grand opening of the cafeteria. All meals are complimentary for every guest. Enjoy your dining experience. The voice faded, and Jiang Mei rubbed her aching ears. She couldn't fathom why the sinister game system used such terrifying audio to deliver completely ordinary announcements. The harsh tone left her ears throbbing uncomfortably every time. Her Tier 3 blade finished synthesizing on the workbench as the system alert ended. Jiang Mei now held a Tier 3 sharpened blade. Tier 3 sharpened blade, plus 30 attack damage. Jiang Mei was fully satisfied with the stat boost. She grabbed the blade and headed out for the cafeteria, not for food, but to scout out the area and uncover its secrets. Though the system banned all combat inside the cafeteria zone, it never prohibited bringing weapons through the doors. Jiang Mei felt far safer keeping the blade within reach. Pausing at her doorway, she glanced back at Seven curled up on the bed, wondering if the chubby cat was hungry and when it would wake from its slumber. With a quiet sigh, Jiang Mei stepped out of her room and latched the door shut. That's when a critical detail suddenly dawned on her. Where exactly was the cafeteria located? She reopened the group chat to look for clues from other players and stumbled upon shocking new updates. Floor 5 Lolly, everyone. The elevators have activated. We can ride them straight to the cafeteria. Floor 8 Skybound. The elevator's right next to my room. I'm already heading upward. There's only one button inside. The cafeteria sits on the top floor of the entire complex. Floor 33 Monchichi. Wait, the top floor is our 33rd? Does that mean I can walk straight out my door to eat? Floor 33 Breaking Bad. It's one floor above ours. I just arrived at the cafeteria. It's an open-air rooftop space with stunning decor, just like the rooftop sunset restaurant of a luxury seaside resort. Floor 1 Slug Wanderer. That sounds too good to be true. Are you luring everyone up here to attack us? Floor 33 Breaking Bad. Why do you always pop up to stir trouble? Do I even know you? Floor 1 Slug Wanderer. We'll get acquainted once I reach the top floor. Floor 33 Breaking Bad. Leave me out of this. At the same time, the only two players Jiang Mei had added as friends each sent her private messages. Masked Zhou Mingdia. Let's meet by the elevator and head to the cafeteria together. We can watch each other's backs if anything unexpected happens. Tang Yu, do not eat any food from the cafeteria. Jiang Mei was pacing the circular corridor searching for the elevator when Tang Yu's message sent a jolt of unease through her. She quickly typed a follow-up question. Seven Mom, why not? But by the time Jiang Mei located the elevator bank, Tang Yu had yet to send a reply. Masked Zhou Mingdia stood waiting a short distance from the elevator doors. A small group of players had just stepped inside, and Masked Zhou Mingdia hit the hold door button to wait for Jiang Mei to join them. Jiang Mei quickened her pace to catch up. It's you again? A man spoke up the second Jiang Mei stepped into the elevator car. She glanced over and recognized him from their earlier encounter on floor 1300. Including Jiang Mei and Masked Zhou Mingdia, 5 people filled the elevator. Aside from the startled man, 2 other young men stood in the car, strangers to Jiang Mei. One of the unknown youths frowned and asked, "Who's she? Why are you so scared of her?" The man's eyes locked onto the polished, razor-sharp Tier 3 blade in Jiang Mei's hand, clearly far more powerful than the rusted basic blades most players carried. He swallowed hard and retreated into the far corner of the cramped elevator before whispering quietly, "That's Seven Mom, the first player to take another survivor's life." What? The 2 other young men tensed instantly and shuffled backward, desperate to put distance between themselves and Jiang Mei, but the tiny elevator left nowhere to hide. Jiang Mei ignored their alarmed reactions and offered no explanation. The elevator panel held only a single upward arrow button, and the car skipped every intermediate floor, climbing non-stop toward the roof. A soft ding echoed, and the elevator doors slid open at the top floor. Jiang Mei and Masked Zhou Mingdia stepped out first. The 3 men bolted out behind them, immediately scrambling several paces away to maintain maximum vigilance. One young man muttered under his breath, "Is this really necessary? Seven Mom looks like a regular college graduate, not some dangerous threat. Do we have to be this wary?" The man who recognized Jiang Mei lowered his voice to reply, "She has blood on her hands, and she's manipulative too. She tricked me once before. I ended up owing 20 nightmare coins to settle the mess. It's safest to stay far away." "Where'd you even get nightmare coins back then?" "I meant I fell 20 nightmare coins into debt." And masked Zhou Mingdia's just as greedy, charging outrageous fees for her trades. "I suspect they worked together to set me up for a scam." "Wait, this woman next to her is masked Zhou Mingdia? The big shot buying tons of materials with nightmare coins. That's her. Wow, I need to curry favor with her then. Are you crazy? She'll drain every last coin you own before you know it. Let's go, we're heading to the opposite side of the rooftop." The three men whispered among themselves as they walked further away from Jiang Mei and her companion. Jiang Mei and masked Zhou Mingdia turned their attention to exploring the rooftop cafeteria. It matched every glowing description from the group chat, lavishly decorated across over 2,000 square meters. A single seamless transparent glass dome arched overhead, covering the entire floor. The space split into 3 distinct zones, a self-service buffet counter occupying nearly half the rooftop, indoor dining seating, and a wide observation deck overlooking the surrounding landscape. The buffet counter sat closest to the elevator entrance, piled high with endless varieties of gourmet food. Mounds of plump Boston lobsters, mountains of king crab legs, thick cuts of grilled lamb rack, sizzling tomahawk steaks glistening with oil, crispy pork belly, garlic butter steamed scallops, cheese baked oysters, teriyaki eel, fatty salmon belly sashimi, sweet shrimp, Arctic surf clams, premium tuna belly, foie gras on toasted brioche, tempura shrimp, takoyaki octopus balls, shrimp dumplings, braised pork ribs, braised oxtail, honey-glazed barbecued pork, crispy roasted goose, salt-baked, chicken drumsticks, assorted marinated cold cuts. Rows of snacks and desserts lined separate tables, egg waffles, butter waffles, Portuguese egg tarts, durian pastries, barbecued pork buns, salted egg yolk pastries, mung bean cakes, glutinous rice rolls, osmanthus rice cakes, self-serve drink stations. DIY milk tea bars, cold jelly desserts, and fruit yogurt bowls filled the remaining counter space. The sheer variety dazzled the eye, every dish steaming hot and fragrant. Most tempting of all, the system had announced all food was completely free for opening day. As a lifelong homebody with a major sweet tooth, Jiang Mei's mouth watered at the lavish spread out before her. Even though she'd just finished eating bread minutes earlier, the sight of all this food ignited an overwhelming craving. Players who'd arrived at the cafeteria early already lined the buffet counters, piling mountains of food onto their plates. Dozens more filled the dining tables, and a steady stream of new survivors continued pouring in via the elevator. Finally, something decent in this brutal game. "Come on, Seven Mom, let's grab seats before they're all taken." Masked Zhou Mingdia grabbed Jiang Mei's wrist, ready to rush toward the buffet tables. Tang Yu's private message suddenly flashed back into Jiang Mei's mind, clearing her fog of hunger instantly. She pulled masked Zhou Mingdia to a halt, speaking without hesitation, "Don't eat anything here." Masked Zhou Mingdia froze mid-step, confused. "Huh? What do you mean?" Jiang Mei pushed her overwhelming hunger aside completely, her tone calm and rational. "There's no way this cruel survival game would hand out free gourmet meals out of kindness. We should stay cautious and look around the entire rooftop first." Masked Zhou Mingdia mulled over her words and nodded in agreement, choosing not to rush for food. A deadly survival game had no reason to offer such generous, harmless perks without hidden catches. The pair split up to explore the cafeteria fully, walking past the buffet lines and dining area toward the observation deck. The view from the overlook was breathtaking, an endless stretch of ocean meeting white sandy beaches, confirming they stood on a secluded island. Glancing left and right, they spotted identical rows of towering dormitory buildings, all matching their own complex's height, exterior design, and glass rooftop domes. Jiang Mei guessed these were separate dormitory towers for other groups of trapped players. Though they sat relatively close together, no details of the residents inside could be made out from this distance. "This island doesn't look very big. Does that mean only a small number of people got pulled into the game?" Masked Zhou Mingdia sighed. Jiang Mei disagreed. "This game likely spans the entire globe. This island's dormitories are probably just a tiny fraction of the participants from our country alone." She even wondered if every matching tower visible represented a single residential unit from the same massive compound. That detail would explain the massive global player population the system referenced earlier. Masked Zhou Mingdia's memory flicked back to the system's initial broadcast, which named 10 participating nations including Huaguo. Jiang Mei's theory suddenly seemed far more plausible. That's absolutely terrifying, masked Zhou Mingdia's mood sank. I wonder if my parents are alright back in the real world. Jiang Mei's expression softened faintly. She rarely worried about her own family. They'd been separated for years, and their bond was weak at best. Her biggest concern was Seven. She felt grateful the cat had been pulled into the game alongside her. If Seven had been left alone in the real world, the tiny feline would never have survived on its own. Though the cat remained trapped in a deep slumber for now, its life wasn't in immediate danger, and Jiang Mei vowed to find a way to wake it eventually. Shoving away her gloomy thoughts, Jiang Mei resolved to inspect every corner of the cafeteria thoroughly. Her eye of divine insight might uncover hidden clues that exposed the rooftop's hidden traps. Masked Zhou Mingdia, meanwhile, had her own plan. The cafeteria only stays open for 1 hour, and every resident from every floor will flood up here. This is an enormous business opportunity. I'm going to network with all the wealthy players I can find, haha. The two parted ways to carry out their separate plans. Jiang Mei quickly pinpointed the cafeteria's uncanny oddity. The entire sprawling rooftop had no kitchen prep area or visible staff of any kind. Every dish on the buffet tables materialized out of thin air, refilling automatically as players took portions, perpetually steaming hot without any source of heat. Every seat in the dining area was piled high with mountains of meat and seafood, towering taller than the people sitting there. No ordinary human could possibly finish such staggering quantities. Anyone who tried would burst from overeating. Yet these people acted as if they'd starved for a lifetime, frantically grabbing plate after plate and shoveling food into their mouths nonstop. For a split second, Jiang Mei wondered if her mind was playing tricks on her. She watched an enormously overweight man, his chin glistening with grease, and swore he'd been slender just moments earlier. When she swept her gaze across the entire dining area, she realized not a single person possessed a balanced, average figure. The whole cafeteria instantly reeked of wrongness. Jiang Mei came to a chilling realization. Every person seated in the dining hall had ballooned into massive, overweight versions of themselves in the blink of an eye. She was certain this hadn't been the scene when she first stepped inside. At what point had it all changed? She had no answer, and a cold dread crept up her spine, chilling her to the bone. If Tang Yu hadn't warned her, would she have followed Zhuang Zhomeng to dive into the buffet spread the second she walked in? But how had Tang Yu known the food in the cafeteria was dangerous to consume? To confirm her suspicions, Jiang Mei scanned every corner of the dining space. Eventually, she spotted the 3 players from the 13th floor who'd climbed the stairs alongside her, sitting behind a table crammed with absurd mounds of food. The 3 had once had normal, proportional bodies, but now their faces were bloated, their bellies stretched taut and round. Jiang Mei would never have recognized them if they hadn't still been wearing their original clothes. Worse still, none of them seemed to notice their drastic physical transformation at all. Even more unsettling, wave after wave of new players stepped out of the elevators, oblivious to everything amiss around them. The second they entered, they were hypnotized by the lavish buffet spread, grabbing empty plates and rushing to pile food without restraint. Only 2 people in the entire cafeteria still looked normal, herself and Zhuang Zhomeng. Wait, there was a third unaltered person. Jiang Mei spotted Zhuang Zhomeng talking with a man in one far corner of the dining hall. A towering pile of food sat untouched in front of him. He'd barely touched a bite, too busy chatting with Zhuang Zhomeng. His build remained perfectly average. Jiang Mei strode quickly over to them. What's wrong? Zhuang Zhomeng's face paled the moment she saw Jiang Mei approaching, her heart lurching with unease. Something terrible is happening here, Jiang Mei said bluntly, laying out every strange observation she'd made. The man seated beside her wore a tailored suit, the kind of sharp uniform typical of salespeople, real estate agents, or insurance brokers in the real world, full of sharp energy and shrewd, calculating eyes. He'd overheard every word Jiang Mei said, and his eyes blew wide. He stared at the feast before him as if it were a swarm of monsters, hastily shoving the plates far away from himself. I never even noticed everyone around us turned huge until you pointed it out. Zhuang Zhomeng shuddered, the thought sinking in and filling her with terror. Same here, the salesman chimed in. Now that I see it, I can't unsee it. Jiang Mei thought for a moment and issued instructions to the pair. Zhomeng, go try to snap the other eating players out of their daze. And you. You can call me Lion, miss. The salesman introduced himself voluntarily. Jiang Mei had not added him as a friend, so she could not view his player profile. He was definitely older than Jiang Mei, the casual honorific just a habit from his line of work. Jiang Mei nodded. Lion, stand guard by the elevators and warn any new arrivals to stay cautious. Lion gave her a thumbs up. You've got a kind heart, miss. The more players fall victim to this trap, the better for the game, and the worse for us, Jiang Mei explained. Hurry. If we can't uncover the cafeteria's true rules soon, we'll have to leave early. Got it. The two stood and split off to carry out their tasks. Jiang Mei stayed behind to hunt for the glowing golden text clues she'd seen before, checking every utensil and crack between floor tiles without missing a spot. Unfortunately, she found nothing. Luckily, Zhuang Zhomeng and Lion both made solid progress. Just as Jiang Mei had guessed, anyone given a clear warning would instantly recognize the abnormality, regain their senses, and stop mindlessly gorging themselves. The players who'd already ballooned up could break free from the food's trance, but their enlarged bodies would not revert back to normal. Help! My stomach's splitting open. How did I get like this? Somebody save me! Wails echoed through the cafeteria. Several players with fragile mental fortitude broke down completely, sobbing hysterically at their altered forms. The noise grated on Jiang Mei's nerves. She grabbed her rusted cleaver and tapped the flat of the blade hard against a tabletop, producing a heavy, resounding thud. Every eye in the room snapped to her, including the hysterical, weeping players. Crying won't fix anything. While we still have time, search everywhere for something that might ease these symptoms or other hidden oddities. Do not touch any food on these tables again. A sudden flash of insight cut through her thoughts mid-sentence, as if she'd grasped a vital piece of the puzzle. She turned and marched straight toward the buffet serving line. The crowd split into factions as they watched her go, confused, compliant, and furious people who refused to take orders from a stranger. The whole space descended into louder chaos. At that moment, Lion suddenly shouted to cut through the noise. Players who haven't eaten any food, head back to your dorms via elevator right away. Anyone who's gained weight, stay here to hunt for clues. Anyone willing to help can stick around too, and those looking to trade supplies can come add me as a friend. His first lines managed to calm the crowd somewhat, but the last line made many people struggle to hold back laughter. Before anyone could yell complaints at him, Zhuang Zhomeng's eyes lit up, and she shouted over the hubbub. Listen up, everyone. I'm Zhuang Zhomeng. It's rare for so many players from the same dorm building to gather in one place. If you want to trade your materials for nightmare coins, come line up for face-to-face deals. The room fell dead silent at her words, then erupted with excited chatter. Seriously? Finally someone willing to trade with us. This isn't a scam, right? I'm coming over, boss. Form a line. I got here first. Zhuang Zhomeng herded the crowd of traders to one side, moving them far away from Jiang Mei's investigation zone to leave her ample space to work. Traders, line up quietly. Be honest about what supplies you have to offer. I'll draft a binding player contract with each of you and transfer 20% of the coin payment up front. We'll finish the exchange once you return to your dorm rooms. If they completed trades inside the cafeteria, all the supplies she collected would materialize physically before her, and the sheer volume would be impossible to carry away. Hearing she'd offer partial advance payment, none of the other players raised objections. With the noise cleared away, Jiang Mei could focus fully on uncovering the hidden rules. Suddenly, a sign hanging on the wall caught her eye. It had been prominently displayed by the buffet line, visible to anyone stepping out of the elevator, yet none of them had paid it any mind earlier. The words printed on it read, 20 nightmare coins per guest, no food waste allowed. The system voice had explicitly stated the cafeteria would be free for the day, so everyone had brushed the sign's text aside. Now that Jiang Mei re-examined it, she spotted a line of faint golden text beneath the main print. The sign's pale gold background hid the writing perfectly. Even with her sharp observation, she would never have spotted it without leaning in close. She squinted and deciphered the small script word by word. Guests must not waste more than 200 grams of food. Anyone who eats without paying must finish every dish on the serving counter, or they will be barred from leaving the cafeteria. Staff who waste food will have wages deducted at a rate of 10 nightmare coins per 500 grams wasted. Guests eating without paying, staff, Jiang Mei quickly parsed the key terms from the text. 20 coins per guest, that meant players who paid counted as guests, and those who skipped payment were dining without charge. The system's claim of free access was nothing but a trap, designed to lure players in without paying the fee. The second trap lay in the endless temptation to pile excessive food onto plates. Once inside, players lost control of their portions, unable to keep leftover waste under the 200-gram limit no matter how hard they tried. The third trap targeted players who skipped payment entirely. Those who dined for free were forced to consume every scrap of food on the serving counters. But Jiang Mei had already noticed the buffet tables automatically restock themselves endlessly. It was physically impossible to eat everything. The trap intended to force these players to gorge themselves until they perished. Jiang Mei could deduce all these layers of deception from everything unfolding around her. The only potential workaround she could think of was for unpaid diners to pay the 20 coin fee, then eat their portions until leftover waste fell below 200 grams. That might let them exit the cafeteria. But as she glanced at the towering food mounds covering every table, she realized this solution was no longer feasible. Once ensnared by the game's traps, these players had little hope of escaping. What puzzled Jiang Mei far more was the mention of staff. There were no workers visible anywhere in the cafeteria. Where were these staff members supposed to come from? Staff members could leave the dining hall after wasting food, but at the cost of wage deductions. What duties fell to staff? How much would they earn as pay? Jiang Mei could not untangle the riddle right away, and she dared not discuss the glowing golden text clue openly with the others. She had no way to explain how she'd obtained the hidden information. She stepped away from the buffet line and took an empty seat in the dining area to think carefully. From everything she'd learned about the game so far, every instance and hidden rule operated on a dual system: punishment and reward. Hidden rewards always came paired with deadly traps along the path to claim them. Take the colorball guess minigame as an example. The reward was nightmare coins for winning. The punishment was losing coins for guessing wrong. The trap lay in loan mechanics, forcing players deeper into debt to the game, trapping them in an inescapable cycle through the game's own rules. Even so, a way out existed. Players could avoid the trap by resisting greed, and if they repaid their debts later, they could survive unharmed. The game never fully cut off all avenues for survival. The cafeteria had to follow the same logic. If the game only intended to slaughter players outright, there would be no need for such elaborate, roundabout traps. There must be a path to survival hidden somewhere within the cafeteria, or a reward waiting to be claimed. Jiang Mei sorted her thoughts and re-examined all known rules step by step. Confirmed punishments inside the cafeteria: anyone who wasted food could not leave the hall, and remaining past the safety time limit would trigger lethal danger. The traps: tricking players into dining without paying, and causing excessive weight gain that barred them from using the elevators, trapping them inside indefinitely. Therefore, the rewards and escape route were almost certainly tied to the staff position mentioned on the sign. Jiang Mei recalled the earlier system announcement. The cafeteria only opens once daily at 11:30, available for 1 hour only. Do not miss this window. The cafeteria is fully safe within the time limit. Once the hour expires, system protection will vanish and all consequences fall on the players. All players had to exit the cafeteria before 12:30. Remaining past the deadline would strip them of guaranteed safety. That meant dangerous entities or fatal hazards would manifest after 12:30. Yet no staff had appeared between 11:30 and 12:30. Could the staff only emerge once the 1 hour window closed? Judging by the countdown timer on her lucky cat, roughly 20 minutes had passed since she entered the cafeteria. If she could not uncover the secret reward within the next 40 minutes, she would leave without hesitation. She cared nothing for the fates of the other players. She stayed only to maximize her own gains. Danger always walked hand in hand with valuable rewards. Time ticked by minute. Zhuang Zhoming finished processing nearly all the trades. She drafted binding contracts for everyone who needed them and exchanged friend requests with all interested traders. Players who'd avoided eating any food boarded the elevators and left without trouble. Those who'd consumed the cafeteria's food tried to depart, only to be blocked. The elevators marked them as overweight the moment they stepped inside. The doors would not close, and the lift blared continuous warning beeps. Only after forcing the bloated players back out could the other riders descend normally. When Zhuang Zhoming returned to find Jiang Mei, the cafeteria was filled almost entirely with overweight players, plus a small handful of average-sized onlookers lingering behind. Should we head out too? Zhuang Zhoming aimed to be a trader, not a selfless savior. She was happy to help others if she stumbled across a game loophole, but watching Jiang Mei sit motionless for ages made her eager to flee the hazard-filled space immediately. Jiang Mei checked the time and shook her head. Not yet. I want to look around a little longer. The second her words faded, the familiar chilling mechanical system voice boomed across the cafeteria. Detected 0 active diners in the cafeteria for over 10 minutes. Staff recruitment mode now activated. As soon as the voice cut out, a brand new sign materialized in the most noticeable spot by the cafeteria entrance. 4 large characters blazed across its surface: staff recruitment. Jiang Mei and the rest of the crowd crowded close to read its contents. Staff recruitment notice. The cafeteria now opens part-time job applications. Players may apply for any single available position. Each role carries different compensation, but all grant generous pay. Choose carefully based on your own circumstances. Each player receives only 1 application chance. Rejection bars you from ever reapplying. There's more text on the back. Zhuang Zhoming called out, standing behind the sign. The crowd surged around to peer at the reverse side, cramming forward as those in the rear struggled to make out the small, dense print. Back up, everyone, I'll read it aloud for you. Zhuang Zhoming calmed the crowd and recited every word printed on the sign. Position 1. Server open recruitment, unlimited spots, shift hours, 12:30 to 1400 hours, job duties, serve dishes to guests, strictly no conversation with patrons, compensation, 150 nightmare coins. Full system protection within the cafeteria during shift hours, requirements, physically healthy, balanced, average build. The crowd cheered loudly upon hearing the 1.5-hour shift paid a massive 150 coins, scrambling forward to apply for server roles, completely tuning out the rest of Zhuang Zhoming's explanation. Zhuang Zhoming raised her voice to cut through the noise. The requirement states you need a balanced, average build. Take a good look at yourselves before rushing forward. If your application gets rejected, you'll never get another shot. Her words silenced the overweight players instantly. They slumped, overcome with regret for overindulging in the food. The average-sized players who'd refrained from eating grew eager to apply, yet they held back, waiting for Zhuang Zhoming to finish reading the rest of the recruitment terms. Position 2. Kitchen staff open recruitment, unlimited spots, shift hours, 12:30 to 1400 hours, job duties. Prepare meals for guests, strictly no conversation with patrons, compensation, 200 nightmare coins. Full system protection within the cafeteria during shift hours, requirements, body weight of at least 300 pounds. Every person in the room fell silent at this announcement, then the overweight players erupted in cheers. 200 coins? This kitchen roll is perfect. I must weigh 300 pounds now, my clothes are splitting open at the seams. But I don't know how to cook, can I still sign up? The requirement only mentions weight, right? If I hit the pound threshold, I qualify regardless of cooking skill. You've got a point. I'm not as heavy as some of you. Do I really hit 300 pounds? Is there a scale anywhere? Maybe I should eat more to bulk up. Are you crazy? What if you can't stop eating once you start? Can we watch each other's portions? I'm a little light. We can take turns eating until we hit the weight mark, then stop each other. Brilliant plan. The kitchen pays more than servers. We lucked out despite falling for the food trap. Even the few average-sized players felt tempted to gorge themselves into overweight territory to apply, but reason won out in the end. Server roles offered equally high pay, and risking permanent bodily distortion for a mere 50-coin difference was far too dangerous. There's one more recruitment position. Zhuang Zhoming's voice drew everyone's attention back once more. Position 3. Front desk attendant, single opening, only, shift hours, 12:30 to 1400 hours, job duties. Guide guests to their designated dining areas, compensation, 500 nightmare coins. Full system protection within the cafeteria during shift hours, requirements, strong mental resilience, excellent memory, sharp verbal communication skills. Mandatory smiling service. Failure to maintain a smile may result in mortal danger. A heavy hush fell over the crowd after hearing the terms. No one celebrated the 500 coin salary. The final position's requirements were drastically stricter than the others, and with only 1 spot available, competition would be brutal. On top of the demand for unwavering mental fortitude, the warning that refusing to smile could lead to death hung heavy over everyone's heads. Making this connection, everyone thought the front desk position was probably a terrible job. Jiang Mei had originally thought the same, yet beneath the front desk recruitment notice, she spotted a line of extremely tiny golden text. Memorizing a wraith's preferences accurately will raise its favorability toward you. Jiang Mei's eyes widened sharply, though she forced a calm expression on her face. Two critical pieces of information struck her, stirring her emotions until she slowly regained her composure. Wraiths. The diners inside the cafeteria after 12:30 are wraiths. The front desk role is tasked with receiving wraiths, the only one of the three positions that permits regular contact with them. In other words, anyone working front desk will inevitably interact with wraiths. They must maintain a friendly, smiling demeanor while serving the wraiths, otherwise danger awaits, meaning they cannot provoke the supernatural beings. Jiang Mei silently sorted through this information in her mind. The most vital detail of all was the ability to raise favorability. As long as front desk staff remembered each wraith's likes and catered to them accordingly, they could boost favorability. What purpose did favorability serve? Would wraiths spare her when they attacked other players? Since the golden text had highlighted this mechanic, Jiang Mei surmised favorability held immense value for survivors. After weighing all factors, she resolved to apply for the position. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. She saw no sense in wasting 90 minutes fetching drinks for wraiths just for a mere 150 nightmare coins, nor did she want to overeat to qualify for the kitchen staff role. The front desk carried compelling rewards to entice her. While its pay fell short of the Lucky Cat's earnings, it was still quite substantial. If she passed the recruitment process, she could remain in the cafeteria and continue investigating what transpired after 12:30. Having made up her mind, Jiang Mei relaxed her features. Only one hurdle remained, passing the interview. Unlike the other openings, the front desk was only hiring a single person. If she were the sole applicant, her odds of success would hit 100%. But she vastly underestimated how desperate others were for currency. Two of the overweight players stared greedily at the posting, seemingly ready to take their chances. One ordinary-sized person also lingered, torn with hesitation. Jiang Mei let out a quiet sigh. It would all come down to individual luck and merit. Roughly 10 more minutes passed. Judging by the Lucky Cat's countdown timer, the time was roughly 12:45. A system announcement flashed once more. This time, a personal blue light screen appeared before every player inside the cafeteria, visible only to each individual. Please select the position you wish to apply for. Time limit: 1 minute. Failure to submit within the window counts as automatic withdrawal, barring you from all cafeteria job applications for the next 24 hours. The system will automatically verify applicants' physical condition. Qualified candidates are hired immediately. Rejected applicants will never be eligible for cafeteria employment. All front desk applicants must complete a separate interview round. Beneath the prompt sat 3 options, corresponding to waitstaff, kitchen staff, and front desk. Only 1 minute left. I have to go grab more food right now. Me too. If anyone's full and isn't eating, keep an eye on the clock for us. Shake us awake if time's almost up and we're still stuffing our faces. We're counting on you. Fellow humans look out for each other. One overweight man took the lead, and a crowd of large-set players flocked to gorge themselves non-stop. The dining area was a short distance away, so some simply leaned over the self-service buffet counter and shoveled food down. They'd lost all appetite after being roused earlier, yet now that uncontrollable craving for food surged back the moment they started eating again. Even those who already appeared dangerously overstuffed feared their weight would not meet the threshold and rushed to pile on more meals. Jiang Mei frowned at the chaotic scene, paying no mind to the ravenous crowd as she tapped the front desk button on her light screen. Application submitted. Awaiting interview scheduling. Zhuangzhou Dai watched her tap the interface and knew she'd signed up for the role. Is this position really without hidden pitfalls? Zhuangzhou Dai pointed at the recruitment notice and pressed for clarification. Jiang Mei replied, I haven't spotted any downsides so far. Aside from the uncertainty of passing the recruitment screening, she'd found no traps listed in the job posting. On the contrary, this appeared to be the cafeteria's built-in reward system. The optimal path was to avoid eating any cafeteria food and apply as waitstaff. The second best choice fell to players who'd accidentally overeaten and gained weight, who could sign up as kitchen staff. Only in special circumstances would someone pursue the front desk vacancy. The reason Jiang Mei ranked waitstaff above kitchen staff boiled down to their respective salaries. Kitchen staff was clearly tailored for players trapped by excess weight with no other options, so its pay logically could not exceed that of regular waitstaff. Otherwise, the game's food trap would serve no purpose. The game tricked players into overeating and packing on pounds to force them into kitchen staff. It would never reward them with higher earnings as compensation. Behind the seemingly higher wage lurked unforeseen, severe risks they had yet to uncover. As for Front Desk, it undoubtedly bore the greatest risk of all three roles. If not for the golden text revealing the favorability mechanic, Jiang Mei would never take such a gamble. She would either pick the safest waitstaff role or head back downstairs to her room. Time's almost up. Stop eating and submit your job applications immediately.